WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
It's Kevin and Query.
I throw, you catch. It's not that hard, okay? All right, get the out of here.
I'm going to talk a lot about drills and fundamentals.
Watch it, watch it, watch it, watch it!
On 93.5
Watch it!
and 107.5.
Boom, baby!
The Fan.
Inbound comes to Maldonado. Maldonado brings it up the floor, gets it across the timeline, slides it to the right, gives it to Wenzel. Long three on the way short. Trayce has got the rebound, and that will do it. Trayce gets it across the timeline. Game over. Indiana on to Portland, Oregon to dance with a team of 64.
And believe it or not, Indiana just landed in Portland, Oregon and I'm not kidding, about an hour ago. The plan was that Indiana would board a plane in Dayton should they beat Wyoming, which they did, and land around 5:45 Eastern time in Portland, where they've got to play tomorrow at, 4 o'clock local time? Something like that?
7:20 Eastern tomorrow night.
I guess if you're in college, that gives you time. You go back and you spend all day in the hotel and sleep all day today, and then...
Oh, yeah, I'm not worried about the college kids.
Turn the clock, I guess, but...
they've slept in crazier spots, I'm going to guess, in their
probably true.
In their time in Bloomington.
Good morning to you. That is the voice of Kevin Bowen. My name is Jake Query. It is Kevin and Query here on 93.5, 107.5. The Fan, on a morning where we are talking about Indiana winning an NCAA tournament game, a game that played out, if you don't mind me saying so, between the two of us, Kevin, our scouting report on Wyoming and how that game would play out was almost exactly to a T, because Wyoming, I mentioned streak shooters. They have two of them from the outside, and Jeffries, I think, was 0 for 5 from three-point range for Wyoming. EK clearly had, Trayce Jackson Davis has really developed. He's always had it, but his ability to quick spin on the baseline and kind of finish with both hands, you could tell that Graham EK for Wyoming, who's a nice player, but he's a Mountain West nice player, right? You could, to your point, I don't think he was used to or anticipating that just kind of quickness from Trayce Jackson Davis. And then Indiana got really good minutes, obviously, from Geronimo, and Tamar Bates played well in the first half. It was not a thing of beauty, but Indiana moves on.
Yeah, Jake, it was funny. When we had Reese Monaco on, the voice of the Cowboys, to end the show yesterday, when the show ended, I looked at you and was like, wow, if Wyoming's basketball team has as much deer in the headlights look as I felt from the voice of the Pokes, IU might run them out of the gym. I mean,
Reese was pumped, man.
Reese was pumped, and how much was Reese like, oh my God, did you see Trayce Jackson Davis during IU's open gym? I haven't seen a guy move like that, jump like that, shoot like that. I'm thinking, did you really watch IU play this year? Because Trayce Jackson Davis is not shooting the ball outside of 5 feet. And I felt like early on last night, EK especially, there is a deer in the headlights look and a Wyoming feeling of like, do we even belong here? Now, they muddied it up, and IU certainly was not crisp at all in the first half. But Trayce Jackson Davis has played like a first-team All-American this last 2 weeks, and that says something about the way he's ending his collegiate career, assuming this is his final season, which I guess I probably shouldn't assume that. And then Jordan Geronimo, Jake. It's funny, at the start of the year, it definitely has not played out this way, but I remember we talked about Purdue and IU, preseason expectations. I mentioned two X factors, or I guess one X factor for each team. For Purdue, in my eyes, it was Brandon Newman. Newman is just... he is a scoring type talent that I think Purdue needs another guard to go with Jaden Ivey. He's different than Eric Hunter, different than Stefanovic, Morton, Thompson, whoever else you want to throw in there. And then for IU, I felt like Geronimo, Jake, had a little bit of an OG Anunoby flash or two at different points. Again, still very premature in that. And last night, when they needed it, and Race Thompson was really struggling, Geronimo's energy, hit a couple perimeter shots, absolutely vital. There's a critical stretch there where he had like a block at one end and hit a corner three at the other, where I felt like that was the final statement from Indiana, like, all right, this 2 4-point game, we're finally going to play it at like 8 or 10 the rest of the way.
Yeah, it was, like I said, it was not pretty, right? I mean, midway through the first half, I'm on a group text with a bunch of high school friends, but, the vast majority that went to IU are still root for IU. And, everybody was kind of like boy, this is not I mean, it's cool. It's the tournament, but boy, this is not pretty between these two teams. Wyoming did not look good.
I thought St. Mary's deserved a bye into the second round at one point. Wyoming, literally, Jake, they looked like me throwing Rosie Jake the Bear. You know, you were so gracious in giving Rosie Jake the Bear a Clemson.
Does she still play with Jake the Bear?
She still plays with Jake. And, you know, we're working on, you know, hey, Rosie catch. And, you know, every time it's just, you know, she just slaps her shoulders and the bear hopelessly falls to the ground. Maldonado, did he have a turnover for every letter in his last name?
Man. And I should have mentioned that. That's been kind of his bugaboo, right?
And JMV was right. He tweeted out. That was like Mark Jackson backing down. It was wild to watch. Every single possession is Maldonado literally slowly backing down whoever was guarding him for Indiana. And I thought Mike Woodson said it very accurately at halftime. The most consistent aspect of this Indiana team in a positive light all year has been their defense. And that was certainly the calling card again last night. Wyoming just wasn't used to anything like that.
Speaking of defense, there was none of it for the Pacers last night. I went to that game, bailed in the I was home in time to watch Indiana because it was like
they started at 9:30.
They were down 39 at one point. I'm like, yeah, I think we're good.
Without Morant.
Without John Morant, who was in the witness protection program on the sideline. He had like a mask on and a hooded sweatshirt and sweatsuit. But that was not pretty. Now, the other big storyline this morning, Kevin, is as the quarterback carousel turns in the NFL, and I think this is where we are with this, and I want your reaction to this. Each time, Deshaun Watson now, so the center domino of the quarterback focus and spotlight of the 2022 NFL offseason began with, obviously, Aaron Rodgers. Everything was stalled until everybody found out what Aaron Rodgers was going to do. Once Rodgers decides he's going to stay in Green Bay, then the epicenter became what happens with Russell Wilson. Well, that was an intrigue for like 45 minutes because the Broncos wasted no time in getting that done. Then everybody sits and kind of waits. Yeah, I mean, Trubisky signs, but now the centerpiece domino becomes Deshaun Watson. And where does he go? And then, as you had talked about the other day, who does that free up? Increasing reports that Deshaun Watson will talk with Cleveland, and Baker Mayfield releasing a statement that I'm paraphrasing says, I've given my heart to this franchise and a part of me belongs in Cleveland, but then rumor or word that Indianapolis would be a place he would be willing to come if Cleveland acquires Deshaun Watson. There's a lot of ifs and buts in there. And if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. But A, do you think he is on the radar of the Colts? And B, would you want Baker Mayfield as the Colts quarterback?
Jake, I'm very blah about it. When you hear Chris Bauer talk after the season and he says to Carson Wentz, make the layups, you could make the argument that, boy, Baker Mayfield looked like Wyoming last year in trying to make those layups. Had a worse completion percentage than Carson. How much was that injury related? I mean, isn't he dealing with his own shoulder injury this offseason as well? Now, it's a 1-year contract. He'd come off the books. I guess it's a 1-year rental, but I don't love it. Again, I would say that just about anybody at this point. Is there a leadership question with him? Someone pointed out to me a few weeks ago, Jake, Baker Mayfield, you always talk about lighting a fire and the Colts need more, accountability. They need more fire. Wouldn't Baker bring that? Jake, I think Baker's fire is like the kid that comes out for your 21st birthday party who has been to 30 of these and just sets the tone.
Right.
And he brings that fire. He brings an edge of he might get thrown out of the bar at any moment, which it's an edge. It's fire, but is it the right fire that you want? Especially at that position. 3,010
yards a year ago or last season that just ended. 17 touches, 13 picks for Baker Mayfield, who does feel...
Do you have his completion percentage up there? It couldn't have been very high.
Let me see. He does feel very feast or famine, does he not? You know what I mean? Kind of a rhythm guy. He's like the John Starks of quarterbacks.
Yes, I feel like he is usually like a singles guy, but then last year I thought I saw his completion percentage was like just over 60.
Okay, his completion percentage, his rating was 83.1 last year. His completion percentage, 63.8. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that was his rookie year. 60.5.
Oof. That's low. I mean, Wentz was higher than that.
Well, his career high is 63.8 as a rookie. It's hard to believe he's been in the league for 4 years now.
And his contract's up after this upcoming season, so if you trade for him, you have to sign him into a long-term deal.
Yeah, I guess that is another layer to it.
Yep.
I wouldn't want to. I would say this is a one-year trial at the bare minimum.
If you're giving up a first-round pick, a future first-round pick to acquire him.
See, that's the other issue. You know, are you this? We get into it, and today is like Jimmy Garoppolo day as well. By 4 o'clock, you think San Francisco's got to get down into the cap. Is Jimmy Garoppolo going to be a 49er? Where do the Colts factor into that? That is a huge storyline to watch. That's the thing, Jake. With Garoppolo, with Baker, are you willing to give up a premium draft pick for a test run with two guys that have injury questions? Again, two teams that are saying no and have had, I think, better pieces around said quarterback than the Colts would have here in Indianapolis. The other name, and I don't even know if I should mention it, but you mentioned Watson earlier, Jake. The Saints and Panthers, there's no real quarterback domino there if Watson goes to one of those spots.
Right.
I don't feel like that sends somebody to the open market. Cleveland, the other team, and Deshaun Watson, I believe, is from this area, the Atlanta Falcons.
Atlanta, I think, is a real possibility.
Your thoughts on 37-year-old Matt Ryan?
I think 37-year-old Matt Ryan does the same thing as mid-20s Baker Mayfield, and that is gives you somebody for a year. Difference being he's not going to be a long-term guy, so he is clearly a transitional guy. But Matt Ryan, I think, would bring you a little bit of kind of a Matt Hasselbeck type feel. You know, bring an adult in the room, and he's at the end of his career, obviously. I've always liked his play. I don't know much about him personally, but he seemingly is a good locker room guy.
My wife thinks he's extremely attractive.
Really?
Yeah. So should I be against him?
Well, if your wife finds Matt Ryan attractive, I would imagine that she finds Jimmy Garoppolo particularly appealing, right?
Right, and probably me not as much. Is that fair to say?
Okay.
Non-breaking news at 7:12 on the Wednesday.
I'd say if you do a lineup of Kevin Bowen, Matt Ryan, and Jimmy Garoppolo, I think you're running in third, my friend.
I'd like to know this.
Is that the I-step question? What doesn't fit?
Who are the three NFL? What three NFL quarterbacks are we?
Oh, gosh.
I don't mean from a look standpoint, just in terms of, like, what quarterback are we?
As a whole?
That sounds like a great...
individually?
Sounds like a great
individually.
Late June topic.
That's right.
You know, that's the perfect...
Like, I'm kind of the Matt Ryan, right? Like, I'm the one-year rental that's clearly at the end of the career here, right?
I think for all of our sake, let's hope it's longer than 1 year here.
I mean...
cap hit of $36 and $46 million the next 2 years for Matt Ryan.
Wow. I'm actually surprised that he's got another year, right?
He's kind of a statue, too, you know?
Well, he is.
And you got the left tackle situation.
Matt Ryan is kind of a Phillip Rivers redo, right?
And I think worse. I mean, last year, the lowest quarterback rating... I think of his career, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So,
and once again, look at the weapons he has in Atlanta compared to what he'd have at the current Colts roster.
So I think that's where we're at right now. It's some form or fashion. You spend little in free agency money, you go out and get a Mariota. You spend a draft pick, you go get a Garoppolo. And right now, you would think the leverage for San Francisco is lessening by the day, and it might take just a day 3 pick to get Jimmy G. We'll have to see about a guy like Baker or a guy like Matt Ryan. Pete goes, would you rather have Baker Mayfield or Jameis Winston?
Jameis.
Are we factoring in what you got to give up?
Yeah,
Jameis a free agent. Baker, you're giving up, potentially a first-round pick.
Yeah, I think in that case you go with Winston, right?
I would agree.
Well, and okay, here's a good point. Hey, Jake, Baker Mayfield is basically a sober Johnny Football. Probably right. Like, Browns fans, but I mean, remember...
I think a little better quarterback, to be fair.
You know, Johnny Manziel I was flying to, I think it was Long Beach for IndyCar a couple years ago. 5 years ago, whatever. And I get on the plane, and, you're boarding the plane, and you see the people that are sitting in first class that have already boarded. And I'm like, that dude, I'm waiting because you got to stand in the aisle. And a guy's sitting in first class, and he's kind of sleeping against his hand. And I'm like, does that guy have a Rolex logo tattoo on his hand? Like a logo of, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's Johnny Manziel. And he was with the Browns at the time, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm like, why is Johnny Manziel on my flight? Like, where's he going?
He's played in Anthony Calhoun's golf outing.
Seriously?
Past couple years. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the connection is, but I've seen him there.
Well, like 5 minutes or after the weekend, literally like by Monday morning, the article comes out that like Johnny Manziel was at Coachella, the music festival, and like trashed his Airbnb and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, well, there we go. That's where he was going.
Going back to IU for a second, Jake, Joe goes, I was upset at first that IU had to have the play-in game, but after last night, I'm glad. No way they beat St. Mary's with those jitters. Go Big Red. It did look like early in that game, and this isn't, accurate statement, two teams that have never been in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, it's interesting, though. I kind of agree with the point about the play-in game, like it. Did it kind of allow? Do they have an advantage now over St. Mary's? And the fact that tournament, like, nerves is the wrong word. The adrenaline that goes into being in the tournament and just kind of adjusting your eyes to the lights that are on you. Indiana's done that now.
Well, history would say yes. Every year but one since the play-in started in 2011. A team has left Dayton and gone on to win at least one more game. We've seen some Sweet 16 appearances, obviously UCLA in the Final Four. Have you seen much of St. Mary's? I know by the way, I was watching the game last night thinking, Jake stays up late at night to watch this Wyoming team?
I'm telling you, did I not say...
I'm like, oh,
did I not say that they started backpedaling about a month ago?
Yes, you did.
They were, when that kid Jeffries that was 0 for 5 from three-point range, he was a really good three-point shooter for the better part of the season, and when his threes would drop in bunches, that completely changes them, and they were a completely different team.
Well, they also play teams that probably have to double Graham Ike a little bit more. Trayce Jackson Davis early on. Again, Ike has seen nothing like that from athleticism.
Trayce Jackson Davis set the tone early, didn't he? Like, hey, man.
Without a doubt. 29
this
points
ain't Nevada.
For Trayce, tied Steve Downing for the most for an IU player in an NCAA tournament debut. I watched St. Mary's play Notre Dame earlier this year in the Maui. Jake, think Wisconsin in the sense of slow it down, play a game in the 60s, extremely smart. If you've got lulls against them, they'll make you pay, but they're not going to run away from you. They do have a big guy. It's like 6'10", 240. He's probably a bit of a stiff. He's not, super high-flying.
A bit of a stiff.
Athlete. I don't think St. Mary's is going to blow IU out or anything like that. I think it's going to be a great game. I think Indiana's going to have a terrific chance. It's really weird how these two teams enter tomorrow night, though. St. Mary's has played twice in the last 3 weeks, Jake, with how their conference tournament is. That West Coast Conference tournament's so early.
Right.
They've played 2 games last 3 weeks. Indiana's played 7.
That could be advantage Indiana, to be honest with you. You think otherwise, but that could be advantage Indiana, don't you think?
No, I would agree
now
on that.
Coming up.
One thing, Jake, sorry, you can't have any of those. I saw it again the first shot last night. Like those awkward lineups that Woodson throws out there where he's got Trayce and Xavier Johnson, and I know Ray Thompson didn't play great last night, but those 3 on the bench all for like more than a 4 or 5 minute stretch. He got away with it last night. I feel like he does the old let's get all 5 subs in the game. It's like, well, in college basketball, you really don't need to play 7 or 8.
Right.
And, you can stagger things a little bit. That's something that, again, St. Mary's a little bit more disciplined in the sense of they won't let you get away from that.
Coming up, we'll talk more about the Colts after the Big O Tires Sportscenter update, but I'll give you a little breakdown, too, as to how St. Mary's, who Indiana will next face, was built the way they are and what that means in terms of how they can be difficult to play. Part of that came from when I serendipitously ended up spending an afternoon with Randy Bennett on the St. Mary's campus, and he kind of took me through and gave me a breakdown, and then lo and behold, here's Indiana playing them. So I don't know much about, like Ruth on Ozark, I don't know blank about blank, but I do know a little bit about St. Mary's.
Look at that. What a great draw for Indiana.
No question.
Who would have thought? Wyoming and St. Mary's.
They were like, there's this guy, this radio host in Indianapolis that's trying to salvage a career. He's the Baker Mayfield of radio, or Matt Ryan of radio.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's hook him up.
The 20th ranked mid-market. I don't even know
That's right.
We're that high. Jon Rothstein, the sideline reporter last night on True TV, he's going to join us here in about 25 minutes. Obviously, Colts news to get to. They re-signed 3 of their own. Yesterday, they make their first outside of the building sign as well. Free agency officially gets underway at 4 o'clock. So we'll run all of that down as well. And we still got some numbers to give away, don't we, Jake?
We do. We got probably 20 of them.
And we got to start talking a little bracket, too. We haven't done a whole lot of our thoughts on the bracket. I filled mine out last night. It's a little too chalky for my liking.
Mine is too.
But I do have, what do I have here? 2 double-digit seeds going to the Sweet 16.
Memphis? Oh, they're a 9 seed, aren't they?
I do not. And I've got...
Davidson?
I've got a couple, I think, of interesting Elite Eighters.
St. Peter's?
No, not St. Peter's. Yeah, I ran into someone yesterday over at the Colts complex. Boy, Jake's St. Peter's comments, I could tell you were thrilled with talking Peacocks and Yalen and whatever else.
Oh, it's fun. It's fun. That's what the tournament's all about. Mark, you enjoy it, right?
St. Peter's, Kentucky, round 1. Is that right?
Yeah, St. Peter's has.
So I'm sure they're getting to Indy here any minute if you want to take them around town.
St. Peter's got a glimpse at the gates of the tournament, but I think after that...
Indiana winners last night.
Kentucky's
Again, they are landing
nay.
in Portland, or they have landed. They should be landing sometime during the show.
They're in the Uber to the hotel right now. There's our Peacock.
Yeah, that sounds like an early morning in Portland, actually. 7:20 tomorrow night, Indiana will take on the Gales of St. Mary's in that 5-12 matchup. We'll talk about it all here. Kevin and Query on a Wednesday morning, 935-1075, The Fan.
School is in session.
Colts have traded Carson Wentz, the bane of all of your existence. Washington is taking on Carson Wentz's full contract, over $28 million in cap space. And you and I both know around these parts, you know what we love around here? We love us some cap space, baby. Man, imagine what the outcry would have been if this had been done under Grigson. Wow.
Dan Dockage, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Tired of your old car? Come into Auto Sales and Service and try one of theirs. Bad credit? No worries. Everyone gets approved. Visit their 2 locations, Auto Sales and Service.
CarX Tire and Autos March specials include lifetime brake pads installed just $109.99 per axle and free battery and cabin filter check at CarX. For the location nearest you, it's CarX.com today.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly. Credit card debt is increasing at record speed. That's great for the big banks and greedy credit card companies, but for the rest of us, it's getting harder and harder just to pay the bills. The good news is home values are skyrocketing and mortgage rates are still near historic lows. There's never been a better time for a cash-out refinance. Our average client received over $54,000 at closing with a simple cash-out refinance. Apply online today at thehomeloanexpert.com. NMLS number 1326241.
O'Reilly. Improve visibility and save money at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Replace your old wiper blades with a new pair of Rain-X Advantage wiper blades and save $10 now at O'Reilly. Our professional parts people will even install them for free. See better and drive safer with new wiper blades from O'Reilly Auto Parts, in store or online at O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hey, it's Big Joe reminding you to plan your party with the help of Payless Liquors. With 26 Central Indiana locations, Payless is going to save you time and money. Payless has a half dozen Irish whiskeys under $25 with names like Jameson, Proper 12, Busker, Bushmill, Slane, and Kilbeggan. Plus Guinness 8-packs are just $12.99. Get your Natural Light 30-packs for the tournament games for just $17.99 and Mom Water 4-packs $7.99. Grab your favorite beverages at Payless Liquors, open 7 days a week and online at PaylessLiquors.com. Don't pay more, get more, and pay less at Payless Liquors.
Hey, it's Stan Dockich here for my friends at AAA. You and I both know it is pothole season, man. It is crazy out there. You hit a pothole, you get a flat tire. Some of you have got multiple flats. You got to keep your head on a swivel, and you got to go slow. Do you really want to change a flat? Really? On the side of the road, cars and trucks zooming by 75 miles an hour. You got people not paying attention on phones. I do not. So get in the club. Do yourself a favor and join AAA today. At AAA, in the club, you get a flat tire fix, dead battery fix. You run out of gas, they come. Lock your keys in the car. AAA is there 24/7, 365. To get your AAA membership, visit AAA.com or call 844-GO-AAA-GO or stop by your local AAA office. And don't forget to ask about complimentary travel planning, great insurance rates as well, home, auto, life, and more, because you don't have to be stuck on the side of the road to get assistance from AAA.
Hey, it's JMV for the absolute best in realty. Mark Dietel at 317-755-4232. That's 317-755-4232. Online, markdietel.com, markdietel.com today. The absolute best and the only person I would trust if I were putting my house on the market, and the only agent I recommend. Mark Dietel will guarantee multiple offers in 3 days for full market value, or he's going to list it for free. Jason and Kara in Indianapolis. It was a job transfer, meant that they had to move out of state and fast, so they needed to sell for top dollar to afford a comparable new home. They hired Mark Dietel and his team, and he got the offers in days and closed in weeks. That's Mark Dietel. Mark Dietel Realty, 317-755-4232. That number, 317-755-4232. Tell him I sent you online, markdietel.com. That's markdietel.com today.
Spring in Indy. And since 2001, Rhino Shield has been covering Indiana homes and businesses. Just ask Mike.
Was watching TV one night and saw the Rhino Shield ad, and I thought, well, if they can do a house, they can probably do a building.
And Rhino Shield's not paint, it's better.
So they came out and they gave me a price, showed me how the Rhino works, how it lasts, and how the guarantee works.
Business owners, you too can get the 25-year protection of Rhino Shield right now for 15% off the regular price.
They started on the building. They waited for us to leave, and they worked Saturday and Sunday so they wouldn't affect our business at all. This was the great part of it. I came back Sunday night, and you couldn't even tell they were here. There was no paint on the ground. They did a fantastic job.
Here's owner Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
Hey, don't vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Jake Query here. You know, recently I returned to college to finish my degree, and I encourage you to join me. Whether you're like me and life simply got in the way, or you never went to college at all, Indiana offers financial assistance for those ready to move forward. If I can do it, I know you can too. If you're looking for a better job or doing it for your family, Indiana has grants to pay for over 150 certificates in high-wage industries. You're sure to find a tuition-free option that fits you. To apply, visit nextleveljobs.org today. Sponsored by the Indiana Commission for Higher Education. That's nextleveljobs.org.
The Sports Center update on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan is presented by Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Last night, college basketball, you heard us talking about it. Apparently, not enough, according to the tweets, right?
Come on, now we talked about it for 14 of the 18 minutes in the opening segment.
Indiana 66-58 winners over Wyoming. By the way, Wyoming in 1988, this was an Indiana revenge game because in 1988, Indiana won the national title in 87. The college basketball issue of 1988, high school freshman Jake Query was super excited to see Dean Garrett and Keith Smart on the cover of Sports Illustrated about Indiana's defense of the national title. And who's on the cover of the college basketball preview issue but Wyoming's Finis Dimbo, who now, by the way, drives a bus in San Antonio for the San Antonio, Texas mass transit system.
Boy, that's quite the change.
How about that? 66-58 Indiana winners over the Cowboys last night. Hoosiers now move on to take on St. Mary's. Technically, round 2 of the tournament. I guess we still call it round 1.
You got to call it round 1.
Yeah, it is, right? I mean,
round 1 of the tournament. Mike Woodson, after the game last night on the Hoosiers, hopping on a plane and should be landing soon if they haven't landed already in Portland.
Well, we already got St. Mary's, kind of, we'd planned ahead, in case, we we did win. We felt good about coming in here, and so we already got them ready to go. But I never let our players get by from the game they just played. So we got to break this tape down and learn from it and our mistakes, and then move on to St. Mary's. We'll get in sometime tomorrow, and we'll spend the whole day getting ready. Try to find a gym where we can do some work and get ready to play on Thursday.
I like that part of it. Like, try to find a gym.
Yeah, right.
Like, that hadn't been planned, right?
Yeah.
They call it around the...
They have these open practices inside of the Rose Garden or whatever it's now called. Well, it's a nice venue. I was out there for IU's first 2 rounds about a decade ago. I actually think there'll be a good amount of Hoosier faithful in the building last night.
The Rose Garden in Portland, by the way, I was driving literally
Mazda
last
Center?
year.
I forget what it's called now.
I was driving to the airport in Portland, and you kind of go right past there.
That would be funny if, high school's getting phone calls. Hey, this is Mike Woodson. You guys got a gym open?
UNLV practice, 91 Final Four practice at North Central.
Hey, it's Woody.
I saw I was driving past the whatever it's called, the arena in Portland, and in the middle of the interstate middle lane there was a refrigerator just sitting in the middle of the middle of the interstate. I'm like,
that could get awkward.
Yeah, I might want to call 911 on that. Rutgers and Notre Dame tonight, by the way. What were we going to say about Trayce Jackson Davis?
Well, I was just going to say 29, Jake. You'd love to be a fly on the wall that halftime of the Michigan game to start the Big Ten tournament. What has changed for him? He has been incredible, really, these last week or so now. And Jordan Geronimo, just such big minutes, 15 points off the bench. Jake, oftentimes I feel like you see these crazy athletes like Geronimo is, such a high flyer, and they can't shoot worth a lick. Every time Geronimo shoots, he's got pretty good form. Like, I feel like there's a good chance that it's going in. And he hit a big one last night there in the second half and was really neat with Race Thompson struggling. Yes, tonight, my Irish against Rutgers. I'm a little nervous. I think Rutgers could muck it up, and Notre Dame doesn't play too well against physical teams.
Rutgers is just kind of don't know which one you're going to get, right? I guess that's probably the case for the 22-10 Irish as well, correct?
And is Ron Harper Jr. ready to, break the heart of another Indiana State school?
You're right.
He's already done it twice this season. So again, Indiana St. Mary's tomorrow at 7:20. St. Mary's 25-7 on the year. 2 losses to Gonzaga. They did beat Gonzaga. They've also lost to Wisconsin, Colorado State, San Diego State, so some other tournament teams. Again, they want to slow the pace down. Very skilled, smart basketball team. Their point guard is a little bit, kind of reminded me when I watched them against Notre Dame earlier this year, a little bit Jordan Bohannon-like. Been in school forever. Kind of want one of those. A very good shooter, can get others involved, things like that. So hoping to have the head coach of the Gales, Randy Bennett, on tomorrow.
Randy Bennett yesterday, I texted with him and said, can you come on? Or, and he said, yeah, and, we'll see. There's a time difference there, obviously, big time difference, but you are correct. We hope to have him tomorrow. Pacers last night, ugly. Memphis Grizzlies 135-102 over Indiana. Not a whole lot you can say about it, except for that they might have screwed it up even more because Jalen Smith had 15. You want him behind lock and key, don't you?
Yes, I do. It's kind of funny, Jake. Pacers haven't been at home in 2 weeks. In case you forgot how bad we've been this season, here you go, home fans. 135-102. Like you said, without Ja Morant, 23-47 on the year. All right, we come back. We'll get in some Colts conversation. And Jon Rothstein, the sideline reporter last night inside of UD Arena for the Hoosiers and the first game as well, he will join us to talk Indiana and now this matchup with St. Mary's. Kevin and Query on a Wednesday.
All right, let's talk about last night's game, baby, with the great Seth Greenberg. I'll have a take on it also as we get ready for the greatest weekend of the year. Let's talk Hoosiers today.
Jake Query here. Recently I returned to college to finish my degree, and I encourage you to join me. Whether you're like me and life simply got in the way, or you never went to college at all, Indiana offers financial assistance for those ready to move forward. If I can do it, I know you can too. If you're looking for a better job or doing it for your family, Indiana has grants to pay for over 150 certificates in high-wage industries. You're sure to find a tuition-free option that fits you. To apply, visit nextleveljobs.org today. Sponsored by the Indiana Commission for Higher Education. That's nextleveljobs.org.
We buy any car. We buy any car. We buy any car. Any.
Trading in or selling your car, truck, or SUV? WeBuyAnyCar.com takes the hassle out of selling in just 3 easy steps. 1. Get your free online valuation. 2. Drive to your local car buying center. And 3. Walk out with your check in as little as 30 minutes. So don't wait. Get your free online valuation now at WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Find out how much your car's worth at WeBuyAnyCar.
Hey guys, looking for a reason to spend 3 days on the couch watching basketball? Schedule your vasectomy at Urology of Indiana for a Thursday or Friday, then sit back, relax, and catch some games over the weekend while you recover. It may be the only time your wife approves of hoarding the couch and the remote control. Vasectomies at Urology of Indiana are simple and typically take only about 15 minutes. Soon after, you'll be out the door and on your way home. During your recovery, you'll take ibuprofen and be back to your normal activities in 3 days. The docs at Urology of Indiana are board certified and perform vasectomies every day of the week, all year long. They're pros at what they do. And they have multiple vasectomy clinics, so chances are good there's one close to you. If you've been putting off your vasectomy, now is the time. You'll never have a better excuse to watch basketball. Call Urology of Indiana or visit vasectomyindy.com for information and to schedule an appointment. That's vasectomyindy.com.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
You're in luck at Twin Peaks, a costume party with all-day specials on festive favorites March 12th through 17th, featuring sweet deals on St. Patty's Day staples like Jameson, Proper No. 12, or Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskeys, Irish Car Bombs, Irish Mules, and more. Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
When our Shane Company diamond buyers travel overseas to examine diamonds, they have everything they need to select the most beautiful stones. In-depth knowledge, experience, natural light, and an eye for beauty. When you shop with us, we want you to also have everything you'll need to select your diamond. That's why we sell our diamonds loose. We were the first jeweler in America to sell loose stones. To choose a diamond, ruby, or sapphire like an expert, you need to see the entire stone, to look at it from every angle before it's set into your jewelry. Our jewelry consultants provide everything you need to properly evaluate a stone, the tools, the correct lighting, and the knowledge. You'll compare loose stones side by side, like our diamond experts do. It's the only way you'll be sure to choose the perfect diamond for you. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
The King of Sportsbooks is offering college basketball fans a chance at winning big. Really, really big. BetMGM's $10 million bracket challenge is free to play and fun to dream about. Pick a perfect college basketball tournament bracket, and you'll be the legend that takes home $10 million. Fall a little short? The player with the most correct picks wins a guaranteed top prize of $100,000. Anything can happen during BetMGM's March matchups, and that includes you going on a miraculous run of perfect picks. What are you waiting for? You've got work to do. Go to bracket.in.betmgm and make your free picks in the $10 million bracket challenge. Again, that's bracket.in.betmgm. And don't forget, there's a guaranteed top prize of $100,000. Must be 21 years of age or older to enter. Indiana only. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Whoever said the more the merrier sure wasn't in charge of hiring new employees, because the more unqualified candidates you have for a job, the more difficult your hiring can be. And that can make the process, well, not so merry for you. Thankfully, there's ZipRecruiter, which you can try right now for free at ZipRecruiter.com/hire. ZipRecruiter's powerful technology finds the right candidates for your job. But unlike other sites, ZipRecruiter goes deeper. ZipRecruiter matches people with people, and you can personally invite your top choices to apply. Because the perfect hire is more than a list of qualifications. It's an individual. ZipRecruiter makes hiring the right person easy, and that'll keep you and everyone else very merry.
4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try ZipRecruiter for free today at ZipRecruiter.com/hire. That's right, free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/hire. ZipRecruiter.com/hire.
You're listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
It is a beautiful morning with the sun rising here in Indianapolis. Still plenty dark, I would assume, in Portland, Oregon, where the Indiana basketball team landed just about an hour and a half ago, I would assume. They were scheduled to do so just before 6 a.m. Eastern time. As Indiana wins last night over Wyoming, Jon Rothstein, who was on the sidelines for that game, will join us coming up here just a handful of minutes. But, Kevin, back to the conversation about the Colts and possibly Baker Mayfield, and word that Baker Mayfield putting up an Instagram post thanking Cleveland Browns fans because the Browns are now talking to Deshaun Watson, and Mayfield, does he, his feelings hurt? And would that mean that the Colts would make a trade, a 3-team deal to facilitate for Watson to get to Cleveland, which would allow Mayfield to come to the Colts? Problem with that is this. Why would Chris Ballard and the Colts participate in any deal that would facilitate for Houston to get back a bevy of picks from Cleveland?
That's a good point. I really hadn't given that part of it too much thought. And I guess if you want to take it a step further, Jake, not only would you be aiding a team in your division, you'd also be helping another team in the AFC. You'd be helping Cleveland get Watson.
Right.
So, that's kind of...
Yeah, if you're the Colts, you want Watson going to Atlanta or Carolina or New Orleans.
Killing two of your own birds with one stone, I guess, if that analogy makes any sense here. But, I don't love the idea. Again, that's a phrase that I would use for just about any quarterback situation right now. Baker just kind of rubs me the wrong way. And you're adding a physical element to it with his own shoulder, injury situation. And today I really think we're going to find out about Jimmy G and how much leverage San Francisco has lost in all of this, because they are significantly over the cap right now. They've got to get under it by 4 o'clock when the new league year starts. Do the Colts look at that and say, hey, you guys might just have to flat out cut them? Or, we'll give you a 4th-round pick, 5th-round pick, something along those lines. We haven't mentioned it yet, Jake. The Colts did re-sign 3 of their own yesterday. I should say probably agreed to terms with these 3. They could become official later today. Zaire Franklin, their special teams captain, their 3rd linebacker. Matt Pryor, who was kind of their Joe Haig this past year. I think there is some chatter that he could be in the running to start at left tackle, which is just another reminder of how horrific Chris Ballard has planned for the future at left tackle, post Anthony Costanzo. And then Tyquan Lewis, which I think was a smart re-sign, just a 1-year prove-it health deal. I think when healthy. Remember Lewis, Jake? He went down in that Tennessee game last year on Halloween. Colts had I feel like the Colts were up like 14-0, and he almost looked like he got kind of like sniped down. You remember that? He had the interception and just knee blew out. It was a patella tendon, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And he fumbled on the play. Just kind of a wild chain of events there. So Lewis gives you, when healthy, a versatile part to your defensive line. But similar to, he's almost like the Paris Campbell of the offense, which, they're both from Ohio State, so it's probably good to point out.
I'm telling you, Ohio State players drafted by the Colts. It's ugly.
The injury history.
By the way, Chris Ballard is thrilled. You just mentioned that you said that's an indicator of his lack of planning at left tackle.
Yeah, horrific planning.
Okay, well, he's happy to hear you talking about any position other than receivers.
It definitely made me think. And Bowen, every time I freaking read or listen to Bowen, it's like a constant freaking barrage of wideouts.
Jake, there hasn't been a barrage of left tackles coming through the draft.
He was the only one laughing there.
Yeah, that is kind of the old Halloween laugh.
Sounded kind of odd. It's a little bit maniacal.
We got Jon Rothstein on the line. Awesome. Jon Rothstein, probably a late night last night in Dayton. He was on the sidelines for Indiana and Wyoming, and the first game as well. And he joins us right now on the Payless Liquors hotline. Jon, appreciate the time this morning.
Guys, great to be with you. Happy holidays.
Yes, happy holidays, certainly. I know last night, probably not the best 40 minutes, but hey, survive in advance for the Hoosiers. Your thoughts on the quick turnaround with them in St. Mary's?
Well, guys, first of all, before we get to St. Mary's, I just want to say how special it was to finally have the pageantry of college basketball back. All the things that were missing a year ago amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, the fans, the popcorn, the band, the energy in the building. It was all back. It was all back in a major way. It was absolutely sensational. And, I think if you're an Indiana fan right now, if somebody told you that you would have an opportunity to win an NCAA tournament game in your first year under Mike Woodson and, have the atmosphere that you had last night, you would have taken it. And it was a special, special night for Indiana basketball.
And with that, John, I thought it was interesting afterwards. You got a good quote out of Mike Woodson. You could tell, I think, for Mike Woodson, when you were talking to him afterwards and you asked him about, what he would say to Bob Knight, and that's where he just said, hey, I love him. And he's, in my opinion, the greatest coach in college basketball. I'm quoting Mike Woodson there or paraphrasing him. Yep. But did you sense almost a relief from Mike Woodson of, okay, we got that one out of the way now. I've gone through this once with this particular group. Let's go. How did you gauge his demeanor?
I think you make a great point, and I think that, there was just a feeling, and I was talking to Scott Dolson about this throughout the last couple of days in Dayton. There was a feeling that, it was necessary for Indiana to have one of its own leading the program again, and that's why Scott Dolson hired Mike Woodson last year. But with that said, I think, the feeling was that, that things are now realigned and in place, the program can properly move forward, and to have tangible evidence, not just of making the NCAA tournament, but to win a game, regardless of when it was or where it was. It's a tremendous, tremendous thing for this program. And, guys, now you go into a game against St. Mary's that I think is going to be very comparable to the games that Indiana has played this season against Wisconsin. That's the template to play St. Mary's. And the biggest thing that impressed me last night was Indiana's interior defense. They really frustrated Graham Ike in the first half. And, look, nothing is easy in the NCAA tournament, but I think Indiana has a tremendous chance to advance.
Jon Rothstein from CBS Sports. You saw him on the sideline last night. Shifting gears, he's with us right now. Shifting gears to Purdue. Their draw, John, Kentucky's a 2. I know a lot of Purdue fans are scared about Chris Beard potentially in the second round because he has gotten the best of Matt Painter teams at different stops. And then the 1 seed is Baylor in that East region. Your thoughts on Purdue's potential to make a run to New Orleans?
Purdue's got great potential to make a run to New Orleans, but as I've been saying all year long, and I'm not wavering from it, it's a Final Four or bust season for Purdue. This is as good of a chance that Matt Painter has had to reach the Final Four. They've got everybody back from last year's team that was a 4 seed and lost to North Texas. There is no in-between. Either you make the Final Four or the season's a disappointment.
John, it feels to me, I'm old enough to remember, and I'm not comparing this Purdue roster by any stretch to the significance of the Fab Five at Michigan, except for the Fab Five at Michigan did not win a Big Ten regular season title. Of course, there was no Big Ten tournament then, but did not win a national title. Did go to Final Fours, obviously. For Purdue this year, it just seems like that because at the beginning of the year, everyone around here, John, as you know, was like, man, Final Four, Final Four, Final Four, and they don't win the regular season or the Big Ten tournament. To me, that just absolutely magnifies and intensifies the pressure on this Purdue roster. Are they ready for it?
I think they are, and I think, guys, one of the things that's difficult, and I think you can make the case that UCLA is going through the same thing as well. When your season is going to be defined by what happens during the next, 2 or 3 weeks, sometimes it's difficult to have the same level of intensity, focus, and attention throughout the entire season, which leads, obviously, to some bad losses and some lulls. But now, there's no turning back. It's about living up to expectations. And I wouldn't put so much into what happens in the regular season. Guys, this is the first regular season title outright for Duke in the ACC since 05-06. But still, between 05-06 and right now, that program's won 2 national championships.
Jon Rothstein is our guest. He's on the Payless Liquors hotline. You heard him last night and saw him last night for True TV, working the sidelines for Indiana and Wyoming. In addition to those responsibilities, John, I know that you also create a lot of content and keep your eye on FanDuel Sportsbook and people's ability to accentuate their tournament performance through FanDuel. What team or teams seem to be the most common, reliable picks that people are going with on FanDuel? Any way to gauge that?
No, I mean, I don't think, I think, when we look at things right now, whatever everybody thinks logically is going to happen, logic doesn't exist in college basketball. But I think this year, too, the crazy thing, guys, is this. If you're looking at, the balance across the sport, and I've said, all year long, I think Gonzaga, Kentucky, Arizona are, the 3 best teams in the sport. But if you told me that there would be no top 8 seeds in the Final Four in New Orleans in a couple weeks, I wouldn't be surprised. I think the level of separation is razor thin. I think Arizona has looked like the best team in the country the last couple of weeks, but I think we are in store for one wacky NCAA tournament as always. And that's why I tell people, if you fill out a bracket, make sure you keep a bottle of kerosene nearby.
You know, it's funny, John, because certain teams, when they are playing at their best, look dynamite, but yet that ability to have just that off night kind of plagues them a little bit. I'll tell you the team that I'm thinking of, and you tell me if I'm crazy here. I think that when they're on their game, Auburn is as good as anybody. It just, you don't know necessarily whether or not they're going to be in that sixth gear, but you've seen probably Auburn more over the course of the year than have I. Is that a fair assessment of them?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's no question that Auburn is one of those teams that can get to a Monday night in New Orleans. The issue with Auburn, it's not really an issue, it's just the makeup of their team is they have very inconsistent guard play. I mean, it's kind of the polar opposite, guys, of what we saw last year, or excuse me, not last year, but the last time that Auburn went to a Final Four. If you think back to that squad that we saw with Jared Harper and Bryce Brown in 2019 that went to the Final Four, that was a team that was led and anchored by its backcourt. This is a team that is led and anchored by its front court. If Auburn can get capable, front court play, backcourt play, I think they're going to have a chance to get to New Orleans. If not, they could go out early.
He's a kid on Christmas morning all month long and into April. Jon Rothstein of CBS Sports is with us right now. John, I got a couple of bracket questions for you, and you maybe tipped your hand at this a little bit earlier with one of your answers. If I gave you Gonzaga and Arizona and I took the field, would you take that?
Yes, that's the national championship game I have. Gonzaga against Arizona, Tommy Marley against Mark Few, teacher against student.
Okay, and then a double-digit seed to watch. I've got two making a little bit of a run, South Dakota State and Michigan. Your thoughts on either that or a double-digit seed you've got your eye on?
Well, dare I say, great minds think alike. I've got South Dakota State and Michigan.
Ooh, really? Wow.
Yes, sir.
Gosh, I should
Look at you two.
Should drive to Dayton tonight. We should grab a beer.
Hey, I'll tell you, John, the one, I'm not a double-digit seed, and I realize Gonzaga's really good. I know that. The team that I look at that can just wreak havoc and throw teams off kilter, I'm not saying they could beat Gonzaga, but is it possible Memphis becomes a Cinderella?
It's definitely possible. It's also possible that Memphis loses to Boise State. That's
right.
A 50-50 game, really to kick things off there in the 8-9 matchup. But no, it's definitely possible. I don't think, guys, there's that much of a gap anymore. I think really once you get into probably, the 9-10 seeds and downs. I just don't think that, you're going to see that. Now, I think it would be difficult, and, you always think it's going to be difficult. People thought it was going to be difficult for UMBC to beat Virginia, but, I think that, we're going to see more and more, more brackets get turned upside down just because college basketball is older than it's ever been. And that bodes well for teams that have returning experience, that have returning personnel and rhythm and chemistry, and it doesn't bode well for teams that are on their first go-around together.
John, before we let you go, going back to last night and you on the sideline of Indiana and Wyoming, what did you make of Mike Woodson's answer to your Bob Knight question to cap things?
Coach Woodson, obviously talked to us about everything when, before the game and, him coming home and talking about how it's a dream come true. But the reverence that he still has for Coach Knight is so apparent. And you can feel right now that whatever gap existed between Coach Knight and Indiana University has dissipated. And, he's been around, he's moved back to Bloomington, and I think for everybody that went through that for the last 2 decades at Indiana, it's a relief. And sometimes it takes time to heal wounds, and I think, for the first time in a long time, Indiana is truly aligned again. And that's not to say that some coaches in between did not do a very good job at Indiana, but, the fabric of the family of Indiana basketball once again is aligned.
At Jon Rothstein on Twitter, that's Jon, by the way, Rothstein on Twitter, and then, of course, also content creator for FD Sportsbook, that's FanDuel, FD Sportsbook. And you can see him on True TV covering the tournament, doing sidelines like he did last night with Indiana and Wyoming. John, appreciate the time, and good work last night. Look forward to watching the tournament.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Again, Jon Rothstein, appreciate it, on the Payless Liquors hotline. Coming up, we still got numbers to give away in the 8 o'clock hour, Kevin, and our own NCAA Tournament Bracket Challenge. Your chance to win $1,000 from nextleveljobs.org. Now, you simply go into 1075thefan.com. I just put my picks in. We can go over our brackets as well, Kevin, because nothing people like hearing more than your bracket.
Well, we could talk about our fantasy football teams as well. Should we get into that? Never too early. Never too early to make a rundown there. We do need to give our thoughts on the bracket, but a whole lot of Colts to unpack in the 8 o'clock hour as well. For those that want to chat about last night, feel free to give us a call too, 317-239-1070. The Colts yesterday, though, made an outside the building signing, the first one here in the 2022 offseason. We'll introduce you to him next here. Kevin and Corey, 8 o'clock hour on a gorgeous Wednesday morning here, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
It's not just about the possibility of Amari Cooper as a free agent. This is about the Colts in free agency. Stink and take a swing. You have money, spend it. I mean, sitting around and stinking waiting. Are you not tired of it? I just don't want to sit around and have to hear about, we're drafting and we see the future. I mean, by the time you get to the future with these guys, Jonathan Taylor's going to be in the past.
The Ride with JMV.
Weekdays 3 to 6.
On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Do you feel boxed in by the pressures of running your business? With 30-plus years of HR experience, Insperity can help lighten your load. Expand your possibilities at Insperity.com.
Mortgage interest rates have started to rise, but at thehomeloanexpert.com, we're still locking loans near historic lows. Thehomeloanexpert.com. NMLS number 1326-241.
Gorgeous gaming, stunning streams, unbelievable bandwidth. It's another Lifestyles of Gagillionaires. Meet the AT&T Fiber customers winning at life with hyper gig speeds. Meet Gagillionaire Terry. While his love of streaming horror movies has him constantly on the edge of his seat, his internet bill won't give him a scare.
Oh, don't go in there. I'm telling you.
Because since Terry upgraded to AT&T Fiber with hyper gig speeds, he doesn't worry about data caps or equipment fees.
Come on, man. The door's open for a reason.
And best yet, he also doesn't stress about a price increase at 12 months, because with the amazing Gagillionaire lifestyle comes an exquisite sense of tranquility. Most of the time. Live like a Gagillionaire. Get straightforward pricing with AT&T Fiber. Internet that upgrades everything. No data caps, no equipment fees, and no price increase at 12 months.
Limited availability in select areas. Visit att.com/hypergig for details.
A while back, we at AmericanEagle.com were asked to build the e-commerce site of a major candy distributor. With the need for a website that could take into account everything from shipping times to local weather, because, candy melts, the task was not like taking candy from a baby. Fortunately, we live for a good digital challenge and free bonbons. So we got to work on a slew of complex integrations, including a shipping algorithm that factored in variables like distance, speed, and location. The website even let the end customer personalize their candy for special events, like weddings or, major website launches. When all was said and done, our client enjoyed a significant increase in traffic, which we were also well prepared for, and an increase in average order size. A sweet result indeed. For complex e-commerce sites, digital marketing, UX, and more, talk to the experts at AmericanEagle.com. Don't just grow, soar.
The teams have been selected for the biggest tournament of the year. There are only a few days left to join in on all the action before the first team tips off this Thursday. DraftKings Sportsbook is giving new customers a shot to bet just $5 on any team to win. Get $200 in free bets if they do. It's that simple. If they win, you win. DraftKings Sportsbook customers can also bet college hoops with same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets from the same game for bigger payouts, more legs, more money you can win. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use code 1075FAN. Bet $5 on any college hoops team to win. Get $200 in free bets if they do. That's code 1075FAN. This week at DraftKings Sportsbook, 21 or older, Indiana only, new customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. Restrictions do apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for all the details. Gambling problem, need help? 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
The weather's starting to get better. Working out outside, running, it could lead to some pain starting back up. And that's where QC Kinetics comes into play. You can get real lasting relief now via QC Kinetics. They are the nation's leader in regenerative solutions that can restore and repair damaged tissue. No surgery and no drugs. This is the relief you've been hoping for your aching hips, knees, shoulder, lower back. The unique protocols at QC Kinetics were created by a physician with years of study in regenerative medicine. They're treating patients every day in hundreds of clinics nationwide with remarkable success, life-changing results, and zero downtime. We're talking about no surgery, nothing invasive. It's a way, new and a better and a smarter way to deal with joint pain. And they're right here, ready to help you right now. So call for a free consultation and make this spring and summer your best ever with no joint pain holding you back. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation. 463-235-7160. That's 463-235-7160.
Join Planet Fitness now through March 16th and get the PF Black Card for zero enrollment and $22.99 a month. You'll enjoy an upgraded experience with tons of perks.
Like access to more than 2,000 locations worldwide?
Yep.
Super soothing hydro massage chairs?
Yes.
Can I bring a friend every time?
Sure.
Can my friend be a horse?
Nay. Sorry. Get the PF Black Card and feel fit-tacular. Zero enrollment, $22.99 a month. Deal ends March 16th. See Club for details.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis. The Pacers head to Texas to take on the Houston Rockets. Friday night at 7:30 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
It's Kevin and Query.
What the hell are you doing, John? Come back and get it. Charlie, come back toward the ball. If he's coming, I'm going to engage him, and then I'm going to slip out into the screen.
Concentrate, get better. Say to yourself, I got to get better.
On 93.5
baby!
and 107.5 The Fan.
Inbound comes to Maldonado. Maldonado brings it up the floor, gets it across the timeline, slides it to the right, gives it to Wenzel. Long three on the way short. Trayce has got the rebound, and that will do it. Trayce gets it across the timeline. Game over. Indiana on to Portland, Oregon to dance with a team of 64.
That was the call last night from Don Fisher on the Indiana University basketball Learfield. Is it Learfield still, Mark? Radio Network.
I believe so.
But heard right here on this
Matt
station.
Taylor would know.
Actually,
he does the impression all the
WIBC. Everyone does a Don Fisher impression. He does a good one, but everyone does a Don Fisher, right? That's part of living in Indiana. The Hoosiers.
I was shocked you said Maldonado passed it to a guy on his own team.
Yeah, boy, he just had another turnover, right?
Yeah.
Hoosiers send Wyoming riding off into the sunset. Now for Indiana, Charlie Clifford of Channel 8 sent this out. They were scheduled, their itinerary was for them to arrive in Portland about 2 hours ago, but they apparently did have some issues with their plane before they left. They did not depart Dayton until about 4 o'clock in the morning. So I would guess that means they just about an hour landing in Portland. So long day ahead for Indiana.
Yeah, I think an open practice late today at will you look that up, Mark, what that Trailblazers Arena's called? I'm saying Rose Garden, Mazda Center, and know full well they've probably had 7 different sponsorships since then. But it'll be St. Mary's tomorrow at 7:20. We'll get more into that a little bit later. Moda Center? M-O-D-A. Moda? Maybe I don't know why I was thinking Mazda Center. Moda Center. Yeah, I was there back. Jake, IU beat New Mexico State, and you remember the VCU game? Will Sheehy hitting a baseline jumper. I was out in Portland for the first 2 rounds back in Tom Crean's 4th season.
Was that
at the helm there?
And then they went on to where?
They went to Atlanta in an incredibly entertaining 40-minute game against Kentucky. That was the rematch. The Watford shot year, obviously. Then they played Kentucky in the Sweet 16. That was a terrific game at the Georgia Dome. Just an absolutely awesome atmosphere there. And Indiana really hung in there for the better part of probably 30, 35 minutes. If I'm remembering correctly, I think Victor Oladipo kind of his coming out party, but he got into foul trouble, and that kind of spelled the end. I mean, that was that Kentucky team with Anthony Davis.
Was
Terrence
last
Jones
night
and
the
Marcus
Jordan
Steele.
Geronimo coming out party?
Boy, that's... we talked about in the first hour, I thought coming into this year, Jake, he could be an X factor for you. Then the more I watch the season unfold, I'm like, well, where do you play him?
Right.
Race Thompson and Trayce Jackson Davis, for the most part, they need to be on the floor a whole lot. But with Race struggling last night, Geronimo was huge. Like, let's say Indiana loses tomorrow night, Jake. What last night could do for Geronimo's confidence, though, moving forward? I mean, you could lose Race and Trayce. And all of a sudden, Geronimo's needed to play, 35 minutes.
Tamar Bates is going to have to elevate his game as well.
Jake, why is Parker Stewart playing right now?
Yeah, well, no doubt.
Either end of the floor.
He had one shot that I'm like, whoa. Like, they got other games to play in this arena at some point, bud.
Yeah, that was
they still need the backboard.
Add to the Dayton Business School with building bricks there.
Speaking of adding in bricks, are the Colts adding in free agency, Kevin? Not necessarily with big splashes, but just little brick by little brick.
It's typical Chris Ballard. 2 days into it, re-signing a lot of their own. And I agree with a lot of these re-signings. Mo Alley Cox, Tyquan Lewis, Zaire Franklin, Matt Pryor. I don't agree with the lack of activity, though, on the outside market. We did see one name. I probably should have looked up this guy's pronunciation before I say it on air. Facyson? Is that where you're going with, Jake? Facyson? Facyson? Brandon.
You may be right.
Cornerback, 6'2". I look at this as a Gus Bradley signing. Facyson was a undrafted free agent out of Virginia Tech back in 2018. Played with the Chargers for 3 years, when Gus Bradley was offensive coordinator. Left the Chargers last offseason, joined the Raiders in October, where Gus Bradley was, and now here he is in his 5th NFL season, following Gus Bradley for a 3rd different time. The cornerback free agents this year for the Colts, Jake, TJ Carey, Xavier Rhodes, both over the age of 30, both had some injuries this past year. So I look at this as see a Xavier Rhodes, enter a guy like Facyson, who is a long corner similar to Rhodes, younger than him. And you throw him into the mix with Rock Yassin and Kenny Moore and Isaiah Rodgers, and I think on paper it's a decent group. I don't think it's one of the best in the league, but I think it's a decent group. And he's a guy that did have some nice work last year. It was really kind of the first time being a full-time starter there. So, again, he is the first outside of the building signing for the Colts here in 2022.
Now, the other big question, for those just waking up, good morning to you, by the way, if you're just getting out and about. Thanks for listening to Kevin and Query here. We've talked plenty about Indiana and Wyoming, and we'll continue talking not only about giving out numbers for the NCAA tournament, but also our bracket challenge on the Fan's website, 1075thefan.com. Chance for you to win some cash with your picks, courtesy of nextleveljobs.org. But sticking with the Colts, Kevin, a lot of dominoes that have to fall in terms of the quarterback situation. We don't forget, but this is still a team without a quarterback, which is a fairly important position. The newest domino in the NFL quarterback carousel is Deshaun Watson, and where he is going to end up if, in fact, Houston is going to move him along, which appears obviously inevitable. Baker Mayfield apparently got a little bit like he found out that the Browns want to talk to other people. And, listen, Baker, we're not breaking up by any stretch. We think maybe it'd be better if we both just kind of see what's out there. And Baker Mayfield took to Instagram, which is the new athlete way to do everything, with a quote basically saying, hey, listen, I've given everything to this franchise, and you guys mean the world to me, and I hope I can stay in Cleveland, but we'll see what happens. It's beyond my control, yada, yada, yada. If Deshaun Watson goes to Cleveland, there are reports, SI.com had a report saying that Baker Mayfield, I have no idea how concretely they would know this, but that Baker Mayfield's destination of desire would be the Colts. Now, I'll be honest with you. I have a hard time believing that because, quite frankly, what is it about the Colts situation that would be intriguing to any quarterback other than the obvious of immediate starting play with zero challenge? Who are you throwing to? Who's protecting your blind side? And you're in a conference that has a logjam at elite level teams. Honestly, like in addition to that,
but where else for Baker?
New Orleans, Atlanta,
yeah,
Carolina. I mean, the same places, right?
But do those teams look at the situation and say, unless we can get Watson, we'll just stick with status quo? Or, are teams willing to give up the resource that Cleveland will want to get Baker?
Okay, and here's the thing.
I thought it was a great point that you made earlier.
If you are the Colts, okay, here's what gives me pause. If you're Chris Ballard and the Colts, and Cleveland calls you and says, listen, would you like Baker Mayfield? Because the last time that we called the Colts to give one of their general managers an assist, it worked out so well for that guy. And ask Ryan Grigson how well it worked when we called to see if he wanted Trent Richardson. But kidding aside.
By the way, John Dorsey is in that front office, Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean.
Ballard's right-hand man.
Right.
From Kansas City. Or the other way around, I guess.
And Grigson was there, right? I mean, worked with the Browns and stuff. But at any rate, if you're Chris Ballard and the Browns call, and they're like, listen, we are interested in getting from Houston Deshaun Watson. In order to do that, we need to depart with Baker Mayfield. And would you be interested in Baker Mayfield? But that would mean that we've got to both come up with a package that Houston likes. Why would the Colts partake in something that facilitates multiple pieces to help the Houston Texans, a division rival, build their roster? Right?
I was not expecting that, Mark. It's a great point, Jake. And then take it a step further, you're also helping a Cleveland team that just traded for Amari Cooper. I mean, if Cleveland has Watson and Cooper,
they're in the conference,
where
right?
are they? I mean, look at the AFC North and AFC West right now. If Watson were to go to Cleveland.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and I guess Pittsburgh always seems to show up. I know their quarterback situation is very up in the air right now. But no, I think it's a very good point. Jake, when you factor in what you'd have to give up for these guys, because all three of them you have to trade for. Rank these three for me.
Okay.
Jimmy Garoppolo, Baker Mayfield, Matt Ryan. Don't rank them as just who'd you want our center. Factor in the price you'd have to pay for each of them, because all of them are under contract. It's a 1-year deal left for Jimmy, 1-year deal left for Baker, and I think it's 2 years for Matt Ryan.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Do you believe that any of those three are long-term guys?
I don't.
In that case, then, I would go with Matt Ryan because he's probably the one that could be acquired for the least cost.
He's just...
Because of his age, right? I mean,
Isn't he like a worse Phillip Rivers statue?
He is, but what I'm saying is if you're getting Kevin, if you're getting Matt Ryan, you are not getting him because you're expecting him to take you to the Super Bowl, right? If you're getting Jimmy Garoppolo or Baker Mayfield, you are getting them with the possibility that you are kicking the tires on them to see if they are long-term guys for you. So Baker Mayfield and Jimmy Garoppolo, you are acquiring with the possibility and the exploration that you might want to date long-term. If you get Matt Ryan, there is no doubt in anybody's mind, you are maximum getting him for 2 years, and you are using him as a transitional piece, and you are delaying everything by 2 years. Anybody in this town, if the Colts get Matt Ryan, should probably say, I'm going to hold off on getting my season tickets for 2 years. Because they're just treading water and building their roster until the quarterback that they need is there.
Matt Ryan to me is like a wet Band-Aid. Serves little purpose.
I don't disagree with you, but I'm saying he would be the least expensive of the three.
He would.
If you don't think that Jimmy Garoppolo and Baker Mayfield are your long-term guys, then what point is there in spending the resource to get them?
Again, I got major questions about Garoppolo's health situation right now and the Colts signing off on it, but I do think how San Francisco has played their hand here, there is a chance Jimmy Garoppolo gets flat-out cut today. They've got to be under the cap by 4 o'clock, and maybe there will be. I mean, how many teams are competing for Jimmy Garoppolo right now?
Right. I mean, listen.
Are the Saints, are the Panthers,
Kevin,
are people saying, no, we think we're in the Watson sweepstakes, we're going to hold out hope, whereas the Colts almost seem to be competing against themselves.
The Colts, Chris Ballard has taken a lot of criticism this week from people. You know, there are a lot of people in Indianapolis that are like, okay, which one is more invisible the last week or the last 6 weeks or whatever? Chris Ballard or Joe Hogsett, right? I mean, there are people walking around saying that. Where is Chris Ballard? Is he on vacation? That's what people are asking, right?
It probably is spring break time for Westfield schools.
If Jimmy Garoppolo, if the Colts being patient and waiting means that Jimmy Garoppolo falls into their lap at no cost to them, then he's sly like a fox, right?
Well, that might be a little bit too much credit for him because you're still in the same predicament that you have been at quarterback. Like, is Garoppolo the answer?
Well, but what I'm saying is Garoppolo,
to a degree, you've salvaged something.
Garoppolo has to be a lot less the answer if you're giving up nothing to get him.
You'd sleep a little better at night.
I haven't slept well for a couple of nights, actually.
My wife, unfortunately, coughing up a storm. It was
really
no, it wasn't good last night. And tonight I'm going to be up till midnight. Do you think my Irish will get it done tonight? This is like for a Kevin Bowen fan, Jake. This is Christmas Day.
You've got on all Notre Dame. Are you wearing a Notre Dame shirt also?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've had this for a while. Sorry about the stains on it. When you have hope in the NCAA tournament, albeit it's Dayton, but like this is for the next 12 hours. I'm really excited.
I'm not going to lie to you. I find it very bizarre that somebody who grew up in Indiana and attended Indiana,
correct,
is a diehard basketball fan of Notre Dame.
Right.
Get your life together, Kevin.
Jake, two things. Not smart enough to go to the university up there in South Bend. Well, I guess there's a couple, but you know the one. Well, I think it's a fair statement. Not smart enough, nor probably the financial situation to pursue 4 years at Notre Dame. So just because of that, I'm not going to quit on the fandom.
But again, when I was a kid.
Also, Jake, my 4 years at Indiana, 6, 9, and 12 wins the first 3 years of the Tom Crean era.
That's fair. When I was a kid, Notre Dame basketball was the Digger Phelps heyday. And on top of that, you had David Rivers at Notre Dame. I mean, sure. Kenny Barlow. Like, I remember there were good teams, but it felt like they weren't on TV as much, and it just felt like.
They went to the Final Four in what, 79?
Yeah, 78, wasn't it?
78.
But I was really little then. But, Indiana played Notre Dame every year. It was a decent rivalry. David Rivers was the first time that Bob Knight went to a zone defense. I mean, it was, but they just were so detached from the rest of the state. It didn't feel like an Indiana team, so to speak. I know football-wise it did for people.
I get it. You got to blame my brother. 5.5 years older, he ingrained it into me. I get it. People would rather pick up leaves and watch Notre Dame basketball. I totally get it. I know it's boring as hell and no one's a Notre Dame fan, but basketball-wise. But you know what? This is where my fandom is.
Okay, fair enough.
Should we do some numbers?
Sure. We can do some numbers. We'll do them. You want to do them right now?
Yeah.
All right.
Right now.
We got new music.
Paul, you've been hanging on the longest. What's your favorite number, Paul?
Well, my favorite numbers were taken yesterday, but I'm gonna go with 6 if you guys have that.
Paul, you sound like a nice fella. Paul, just out of curiosity, how old a guy are you?
50.
50. Okay, well, this team was big time when you and I were kids. It still is. Who's your all-time favorite NBA player?
Julius Erving.
Ooh, the Doc. I like that. Do you know what school Julius Erving? Do you know what school Julius Erving attended before UMass?
No.
He went to Eastern Michigan, by the way. But the team you got is that of Michael Jordan. You got the Tar Heels of North Carolina. 24-9, they are the 8th seed in the East. Carolina off the board to Paul.
Scotty. Favorite number, Scotty?
Number 12. I hope they don't get retired early.
Number 12, Scotty. How old are you, Scotty?
Who are you a fan of? This will be good.
I'm early 40s.
Who's your favorite college basketball team?
Kentucky.
Guess what, Scotty? The Wildcats, the second seed in the East.
Scotty, what are the odds of that?
Let's go! Scotty got Kentucky indeed, and that's my pick to win the whole thing.
Really?
John Calipari was at the game last night with Bruiser Flint at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. I think Kentucky's going to beat Arizona in the national title game.
So you've got them over Purdue then, I assume, in the Sweet 16?
I do.
Boy. Ryan, give us a number, Ryan.
Yes, sir. What's happening, guys?
What's happening, man? You got a number?
34 on the board.
Let me tell you what numbers are available real quick, Ryan. And if you are on hold, listen closely, please. These are the available numbers. 2, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 25, 26, 28, 31, 35, 37 to 42, 45, 46, 47, 48, 51 to 53, 55 to 57, 59, 60, 62, and 63.
Give me 28 for my man Jonathan Taylor.
28.
We got some big ones coming off the board.
No. What's the name again here?
Ryan. Jake,
Ryan.
You sounded like an auctioneer there.
You like that? Ryan, who is your favorite college basketball team within the state?
We'll go with. I'm not real dedicated to any one, but if I got to pick one, IU's getting hot at the right time. They've been fun to watch the last few games.
Right,
so.
you could cheer for Notre Dame.
Well, Ryan,
we could use some fans.
You better boil her up, buddy, because you got Purdue.
Boom.
Nice.
Purdue. Ryan's fired up.
Jake, you think that's my national title pick?
Purdue? Is it?
We got to give our picks a little bit later.
You
Kyle.
Jaden Ivey?
Kyle, give us a number.
Let's go with the 20.
Number 20, Ricky Callaway, my favorite all-time player.
It's a Sweet 16 pick for me.
They would be a Cinderella story if they do it, Kyle, but they're going to take they got a puncher's chance. Michigan at 17 and 14, the 11th seed in the South, off the board. Who's next?
Who else we got? Steve? Steve!
Good morning. Hey, for St. Peter's, their captain, Mark Lee, is the son of Butch Lee, captain of the Marquette University 1977 champion.
That is good news for the Peacocks. The Peacocks are celebrating that.
That is correct. I would like number 39.
You say 39?
39.
39. Steve, you got a good team that's got a first-year head coach, but they're ranked pretty high. You've got the Red Raiders of Texas Tech.
Anytime we can play the Peacock sound, I'm all about it. Love it.
Speaking of something along those lines, Matthew, who called in yesterday, Jake, goes, fun fact, today's irrelevant. This is totally irrelevant today's show. Portland, Oregon is named after Portland, Maine.
Really?
He goes, the name was decided on a coin flip. Best 2 out of 3 between the two East Coast settlers that wanted to name it after their respective hometowns. If that coin landed the other way, it would have been Boston.
Did you know that they built a complex for people that were coming back from the war that were working in the logging industry in Oregon in the mid-40s called Vanport? It was a housing division called Vanport, and they then had a flood that flooded out Vanport, and everybody had to vacate it, and they tore down all the buildings, and that area is now the Portland International Raceway where IndyCar runs. You can actually see the foundation of the buildings that they race around.
Now, is that
it's worth.
An annual race?
Yes. Matter of fact, I'm going to be turning 50 years old on the day of it this year.
We should ask Paul what he did for his 50th birthday to get some advice for planning yours.
Call a race in Portland.
Let's do 2 more. Brandon and Tom. Brandon, give us a number.
Hey, it's
Well, what the hell, Mark?
I thought we were going to the Big O Tires. My bad.
Brandon, go ahead. What number?
It's 5 taken.
Are you next to Jim Irsay's plane, just out of curiosity? 2, 16, 18, 19, 21 are some of the numbers that are available. 5 is taken, yes.
Let's go 21.
21. All right. You got... Mike Davis used to coach at this school, and they played Indiana in the tournament, and I believe 83, the Blazers of UAB off the board.
And
loud and proud.
Thank you, Coach Irsay. And Tom, to round things out for this segment of numbers. Tom, what's your number?
I'll go with 18.
18?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Mark, can you figure out the levels on the music?
No, I refuse.
What is going on?
This might be the biggest blowout candidate.
Yeah, you do. Now, keep in mind, Tom, 3 ways to win, and one of those is, in fact, if you get the team that is the biggest blowout victim, you have Longwood, the school that 99% of all people have never heard of until 2 weeks ago.
That's what she said.
My wife was filling out a bracket last night and goes, this sounds like a high school.
It totally does.
And they're playing here.
Longwood played Belzer like 2 weeks ago. Do you know that?
Exactly. Fall Creek Valley and a jamboree, I think they have coming up here a little bit later. All right, we'll give away some numbers a little bit later in the show and give some bracket. Wow, Kentucky, Jake. I do like Kentucky, but just in that region.
Kentucky's going to win it all, man.
All right. Big O Tires Sportscenter update time on the Fan.
The Sports Center update on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan is presented by Big O Tires, the team you trust.
I feel like that segment we could have tightened things up a little bit. Like we had some nothing against Mark, but the music
I'm walking
was all
out
over
right
the
now.
place.
Well, the problem is all our sound is plugged into one computer. So when I try to go from one to the other,
I didn't mean that even necessarily towards you. Just in sync.
You stared right at me and said it.
I didn't. I was
like the most critical Jake's been towards Mark.
I was walking on Kevin. Kevin was. We couldn't hear. The guys were next to jet engines. It was kind of like Indiana last night against Wyoming, just off the start.
Got peacocks in here.
I mean, what the hell are we doing? Indiana last night, 66-58 over the Cowboys of Wyoming. Hoosiers move on and basically right about now are landing in Portland, Oregon, where they did not leave Dayton until 4 o'clock in the morning. And Indiana now all of a sudden advancing to play St. Mary's, the Gales. Kevin.
Jake, since the calendar's turned to March, Trayce Jackson Davis has played like a first-team All-American. And this was Trayce last night after his 29-point performance on the first turning win for the Hoosiers since beating Kentucky in 2016.
It's surreal, this environment. Even just for the first 4 game, it was a surreal environment. I've always dreamed about playing in this tournament, and finally just being able to live out that dream and just performing at the highest level, I'm truly grateful.
I'll tell you what, Kevin, I'm going to pat both of us on the back here. That game played out basically exactly as we had talked about yesterday. You were saying that Graham Ike, who's a nice player for Wyoming, but that he had not seen anything like Trayce Jackson Davis, and both offensively and defensively, I thought Trayce Jackson Davis flexed his muscle on that very early on Graham Ike. It took a while for Ike to get going, and then for Wyoming, you know, their outside shots, I talked about streaky shooters. Jeffries, 0 for 5 from three-point range. And that just stalls Wyoming's offense. And Indiana, again, said 7-10 they'd win by. Indiana by 8 last night.
You know, Jake, when I saw Wyoming change their starting lineup going into last night's game, that's when you're like, oh boy, they're not used to this. Or they at least feel like they're not equipped to handle what Indiana threw
and did
at
the one
them.
guy, did he need some Imodium? Is that what happened?
Well, I thought back to the old Matt Hasselbeck.
It was Hunter S.
quote.
Thompson, right?
Yeah, before the or after the Texans game, that Thursday Night Football, it was coming out of the basement and the attic.
Okay. That's good.
He had a couple threes early on, for what it's worth.
did.
That was about all Wyoming had early in that one. Jordan Geronimo, just massive minutes off the bench, 15 points. He had a big sequence there in the second half. Still a very competitive game there. With about 10, 12 minutes to go. A big block on one end and then a corner 3. I think that kind of pushed IU ahead into full control. Season high turnovers for the Pokes. Did I see that right?
Oh, I mean, Maldonado had 10 of them, right?
19 for the game. Sloppy, but, you know, if you're Indiana, and I think this is kind of the recent history with the play-in game, Jake, you get your feet underneath you. IU played like a team that hadn't been in the tournament for a while and just generally tense. You know, if St. Mary's feels any of that tomorrow night, maybe Indiana will feel a little bit more settled, and who knows? I think the St. Mary's matchup is a good one for IU, but I think St. Mary's is also more disciplined to not let, I don't know, some of those NCAA tournament nerves kind of linger like Wyoming did.
Rutgers and Notre Dame tonight, 9-10. Again, first 4 in Dayton. Now, the winner of that game between Rutgers and Notre Dame has to go where, Kevin?
A long trip as well, San Diego.
It's just absurd.
And they play. They have a quicker turnaround. They would play at 4 o'clock on Friday.
That is insane.
Yeah. From Zach Osterman, Indiana's still in the air. Hoosiers wound up taking off a little after 4 a.m. Per flight tracking information, they're still in the air. The flight tracking information, we usually do that for coaching hires, don't we?
And Santa.
Well, Santa, certainly as well. Forgot about Mr. Kringle. They'll land in Portland within the hour and have a less than 36 hours turnaround time before playing St. Mary's tomorrow. Obviously, you usually aren't playing a game and then hopping on a flight, but you know, most of your road games don't usually land about 36 hours. I mean, maybe not even less than that before tip.
Yeah, that's probably right. I mean, you don't have the time change and the lack of sleep for a night. I mean, I wonder how many of those guys can sleep on the plane. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is a good point. You were over at Bankers or Gamebridge last night?
Yeah, for about a half, which was a half longer than the Pacers were. Grizzlies last night, 135-102 over Indiana. Jalen Smith did have 15 for the Pacers. Buddy Hield and Terry Taylor, 14 each. But it was ugly. I mean, they got down by as many as they were close to 40, I think, at one point. Carlisle finally emptied the bench midway through the third. Other big game last night in terms of scoring. How about Brooklyn last night? 150 to 108 over Orlando. Kyrie Irving was 60.
He is so skilled. Malcolm Brogdon and Tyrese Halliburton, 6 of 22 combined last night. 8 turnovers. Getting a lot of people tweeting at me about getting numbers. Have to call in.
I told you, people go crazy for this.
Jake Query, have to call in. Correct. 3 different ways to win. The national champ, the double-digit seed that goes the furthest, and the biggest blowout. We've got what, about 20?
We still got a decent amount of numbers left, yeah.
Maybe a little bit more than 20. We'll run down some picks as well. For those heading over to Gainbridge Fieldhouse tomorrow, the 4-game slate will get underway with Michigan and Colorado State at 12. After that, it's the Longwood Tigers. I'm just guessing on their team. The Longwood High Tigers. Like Jake said, they had Belzer earlier this week, Fall Creek Valley tonight, and they'll get Tennessee at 2:45 tomorrow. And then the nightcap, the Peacocks take on Kentucky at 7:10, San Francisco and Murray State at 9:40. I will be very happy if we get Kentucky and Murray State Saturday over there at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. All right, it is a beautiful Wednesday morning here in the city of Indianapolis. Thank you for tuning in to Kevin and Query. We'll talk a little bit March Madness stuff when we come back.
Want to explore using Mitsubishi electric ductless mini splits to heat and cool your home or business? Learn more at absolutecomfort.org. That's absolutecomfort.org.
Springtime in Indy. The home really took a hit this winter. Rhino Shield. Call 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41. So don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino.
Jake Query here. Recently I returned to college to finish my degree, and I encourage you to join me. Whether you're like me and life simply got in the way, or you never went to college at all, Indiana offers financial assistance for those ready to move forward. If I can do it, I know you can too. If you're looking for a better job or doing it for your family, Indiana has grants to pay for over 150 certificates in high-wage industries. You're sure to find a tuition-free option that fits you. To apply, visit nextleveljobs.org today. Sponsored by the Indiana Commission for Higher Education. That's nextleveljobs.org.
Seeing our designs come to life, then posted and shared on social media, makes my day. I'm a jewelry designer at Shane Company. Our design team is excited to bring you new and unique engagement ring and wedding band styles throughout the year. We travel the world for inspiration, concepting and creating fresh designs. Visit Shane Company to see a broad selection of bridal looks we've perfected just for you. New styles ahead of the trends. We have floral and feminine looks, art deco, and modern designs, as well as all the classics. Once you find an engagement ring you love, we have so many options to make it uniquely yours. For your center stone, we offer natural diamonds in 10 different shapes, as well as vibrant sapphires in over a dozen colors. Or you can choose a ruby, aquamarine, or peach morganite. Then add your own touch with an elegant decorative crown and engraving. So come in and bring your dream ring to life.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Feeling the pinch of higher prices?
Golden Oak Lending can save you money with their low 2.25% rate.
James Hawkins here, president of Golden Oak. Offset high prices with lower monthly payments or turn your home equity into cash.
Lock in this low rate while you can. Call 317-706-GOLD today.
Golden Oak Lending cured my blues.
NMLS 114937, 2.25% fixed, 3.336% APR, FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit.
He's dribbling around 10 seconds, 9 seconds. Bobby Plum dribbling 6 seconds. Plum going down, jump, shoots from the circle, scores!
That was Greg Rakestraw on the call as Bobby Plump hit the game winner for Milan, the most famous shot in Indiana high school basketball history back in the 1954 state championship as Milan shocked Muncie Central 32-30. Truth be told, that Milan team, they had the year before gone to the Elite Eight. I believe they were defeated by Crispus Attucks. They then defeated Attucks. They might have actually gone to the Final Four. They went to the Final Four the year before.
Couple Butler guys, right?
Plump and then Ray Crow also was on that team that went on to become, a big part of the IHSAA. Plump went on to play for the Butler Bulldogs before then playing in the National Industrial Basketball League for the Phillips 66ers. Gosh, I can't get any of this right. But they should really, with that shot, this tiny school, they go to the Final Four in 53, they get beat, they come back in 54, on the way there, they defeat Crispus Attucks to get to the Final Four, they beat Muncie Central, Bobby Plump, hits a shot to win the game. People should tell that story more around here, Kevin. They should make movies or something out of it.
Jake Query, right on cue here, 8:33 on a Wednesday morning. Semi-state week is here for the IHSA boys basketball tournament. It's your chance to see future stars in person for a whole lot less money than what you'll pay to watch them in college or the pros. I've got my Irish playing Bloomington North down at the Hatchet House. Some great venues up north as well. Not a lot of local flavor left. Beech Grove is still remaining, and we will crown, it looks like, a lot of new champions next weekend at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. So for game schedules and locations, visit ihsaa.org. Semi-state week here in the boys basketball tournament.
Dan Dockich lays some knowledge.
This is a 10-year plan, and if you don't think so, then God bless you. Colts have no quarterback right now other than Sam Ehlinger. Left tackle is no good. Cornerback is questionable. Wide receiver group not good enough, and we are going into our 100th edge rusher. You're in year 6. You haven't won nothing. You would rather have cap space than you would wins here in Indianapolis.
Dan Dockich, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. You're listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
If you missed it earlier, Jon Rothstein, who was the sideline reporter last night for Indiana and Wyoming, that podcast will be up. Kevin and Query show on all your podcast platforms. We still need to get to our March Madness picks as well. Jake, some people want to, I think they want you out for your Kentucky fandom.
Listen, I'm not a Kentucky fan at all. I'm realistic, though. I mean, look.
You're here to win money.
That's right. I want to win. And again, ESPN, well, actually just the Fan, Bracket Challenge, 107.5 The Fan. Mm-hmm. Presented by nextleveljobs.org. Your chance to win $1,000 if you go to our bracket challenge. Look, Gonzaga is really good. I mean, there's no doubt. And I think Gonzaga, I said a couple weeks ago I thought Memphis was going to make a deep run in the tournament, surprise people. I don't know that they get past Gonzaga, obviously.
Did Parker Stewart really play the most minutes on Indiana last night?
Why are he and Miller Kopp getting extended minutes anyway if their shots aren't going, right?
Gosh. I mean, at this point, I'd just rather see some combination of Fennessy and Galloway. I actually thought Tamar Bates was decent last night.
I thought Bates last night gave them. Bates and Geronimo both gave him better minutes than Galloway did.
We're hoping to have Randy Bennett, head coach of the St. Mary's Gales, on tomorrow's show to talk about that matchup. Again, 7:20 Indiana and St. Mary's tomorrow night from the Moda Center in Portland.
MODA, I think Moda.
Yeah, sounds right. Moda Center. Let's get to Kurt. Kurt wanted to talk about the Colts and their quarterback decision. Again, 4 o'clock today, free agency begins. San Francisco needs a decision on Jimmy Garoppolo, you would think, by 4. Kurt, what do you want to see the Colts do?
Yeah, guys, this is Kurt McCracken down in Arkansas. Good to talk to you again, Jake.
Hey, what's up, brother?
Not much.
Woo Pig Suey.
That's right. They're excited down here, of course. But, yeah, I'm with KB. I think I'm door number 4 when you talk about those quarterback options. I'm team draft. I don't want to give up any assets. I think we'd be better off going with, quarterback number 3, 4, or 5 in the second round, whether it's a Carroll or Crowell, however you say it, or the Cincinnati kid, or Carson Strong. But get Winston or get Mariota just to get through this year and see if you can get a young quarterback. That's my vote.
What about Garoppolo if he's released today?
Well, if he's released, then that changes it.
Correct.
Sure. If he's released, I'd put him ahead of Winston and Mariota for sure.
The thing, Kurt, and you, by the way, I've got Vermont beating Arkansas. Is that dumb?
Arkansas is really tough. I think that's going to be a tough one. I will say,
I saw Musselman complaining about the game in Buffalo, and I'm like, if you're going to complain about that, the Catamount faithful will come after you.
That's right. Well, I will say, I do like your pick of South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits, because my daughter's at ORU, so, they were last year's, or Oral Roberts, they were last year's Cinderella story, and out of the Summit League, and South Dakota State went undefeated in the Summit League this year. They're really strong.
Kurt, when I was in high school, I picked ORU to beat Memphis as a 16 seed. They were beating Memphis 8 minutes into the game. I was at a Buffalo Wild Wings with my friends. I had the whole place chanting ORU. I think Memphis won by 30 after that. Thank you for the call, Kurt. Appreciate you chiming in. Jake, he brings up the Colts could draft the number 3, 4, 5 QB in this class. Look at where the Colts are positioned. 42 overall right now, which is 10 picks into the second round. If you really fall in love with a guy in the draft, if you get to the 20s, that's not you would have to give up some notable draft capital. It's not a ton. You could maybe get the second best quarterback in this draft class. So is that Malik Willis out of Liberty? He brings up
I think the kid out of Liberty's gone by 15 or 20, isn't he?
Okay, could you get to 20?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
The Colts are not as far back as I think. They moved up 5 with the Carson Wentz trade. And again, they've got a little bit more ammo. Matt Corral out of Ole Miss, I really like. I was talking to somebody that played with Corral at Ole Miss.
But he's coming off injury, right?
Yeah, coming off injury. And I mentioned this on my podcast, and the guy who played at Ole Miss was like, you are exactly right. The locker room was obsessed with Corral, loved playing for him, great leader. And Chris Ballard salivates over that stuff, especially at that position. So,
how big is he?
I don't think overly big. Mark, will you look it up? Matt Corral. I think he's got a little ability with his legs. I know people question, coming from a Lane Kiffin system, how.
The thing I like about him, he seems to have kind of a more likable, less punchable in the face Baker Mayfield tenacity about him.
I actually think that's a really good way to put it. Yeah, Alex is right. Matt Corral was Michael Pittman's high school quarterback.
Really?
Another connection there.
There's differing heights here.
Oh, gosh.
ESPN has him listed as 6 foot even. And then Wikipedia, take it with a grain of salt, has him listed as 6'2".
So he's 6'1".
Right.
On average.
About 200, 205 pounds.
I'm glad to see some people are coming around to the team draft.
The reality is this.
That's a route. Gotta go that route.
The reality is this. We are about to find out if the Colts feel like they are good enough to win in the next 2 years, or if the Colts are asking for more time to their fan base. If they
on their knees for more time.
If they go with the draft, or if they go out and they get a Matt Ryan or a Jameis Winston, it means that they are buying their time before the next guy arrives. And as a result of that, they are asking for Colts fans to give them another 3-year grace. It's if you've ever worked for a company, and I worked for one before this one, okay, where every 12 months we'd have to have some online board meeting, whatever, where like the CEO in New York would come out in some little makeshift arena and give a state of affairs. And they'd always say, you're going to read in the trades that we've got some loan debts that are coming up and some payments we've got to make. And we've got a plan in place. And then like a year later, the debt notes that we've come up with some way, and it was just reshuffling the deck to keep extending these loans.
Sounds riveting.
And it was fabulous, yeah. And so the Colts, to an extent, feel like that's what they're doing. It's all just reshuffling for another 2 years. I don't know if you know or not, but Andrew Luck retired, and we weren't expecting it. And so if you can just give us another 2 years, but in the meantime, we are all chips in. I think, quite frankly, fans in this town, Kevin, are getting restless. I do.
Oh, as they should. I had someone text me yesterday, Jake, or maybe tweeted at me. I kind of forget which one. It's harder to root for this team each day. Another person reached out to me. KB, if I didn't need my phone, I'd break the damn thing. I'm so pissed.
Well, did you see Darius Leonard openly adding?
Yeah, you're getting Leonard.
Free agents.
You're getting Kenny Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody want to come here?
Pretty desperate.
Yeah. Allen Robinson, anybody?
Some of their actions right now. Yeah, and fans should be. I think fans should be. I told the story, I don't know if it's on yesterday's show, but maybe Monday's show. I was texting back and forth with someone high up in the organization. As soon as Luck retires, that first offseason right after, and every subsequent offseason after, the first order of business every single offseason is, how do we solve quarterback? How do we solve in a long-term manner? Too many times they've said, give me the Band-Aid. Give me the Band-Aid. The Band-Aid eventually comes off. Or it's a wet Band-Aid, to continue the analogy earlier. They have not taken the approach that you have to take in the NFL. Christian, he want to talk. Am I seeing Chris Ballard here, Mark? Yeah. Christian, want to talk a little Chris Ballard.
Oh, not much. Just I was trying to see if the irony is not lost on anybody that I think for him to save his job now, he has to do the one thing that he never wanted to do, which was build to free agency.
You think his job's on the line?
I would hope so after this. I mean, what is it, 6 years and no playoffs?
I don't disagree with you, but I don't know, Christian. People seem, including Jim Irsay,
Yep, you're exactly right.
to feel very enamored by him.
Christian, I don't know if I'd use the term build through free agency, but again, ignoring the 1 week of the year where the most proven talent is available in this league, Ballard's refusal to pay A money for B players. Well, when you sit it out and you get to next week and you pay B money for C players, you're going to be an average football team. And that's what the Colts have been the last 3 years. So I agree wholeheartedly with you got to do things differently. Again, building through free agency, no. Ultimately, you do have to build through the draft, but you can supplement and bolster your roster this time of year. And so far, 2 days into free agency, the Colts have largely ignored it. I'm still, a good amount of notable names out there. But right now, 3 or 4, I guess, 4 in-house re-signings. Mo Alley-Cox, Tyquan Lewis, Zaire Franklin, Matt Pryor on the offensive line. So the names that they have not re-signed, Jake, among others, Eric Fisher, T.Y. Hilton, Kamoko Toure, Michael Batchley still at kicker.
But a lot of those are guys.
Muhammad,
a lot of those are guys you can wait on, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of those are names.
Now, Muhammad is one that is intriguing to me.
He's intriguing to me, Jake, as well, because you've tried to replace him every year.
Right.
And he shows up every year.
I could see him being one that you get surprised when some team comes out of nowhere and plucks him as a rotational guy for them.
Well, I've heard the team.
The Bears
exactly
are targeting
Eberflus. Eberflus would make total sense there. So I think that'll be a name to watch as, again, free agency officially gets underway at 4 o'clock today. I assume that's when the Carson Wentz trade will become official as well. I know we haven't seen that just yet. All right, we come back here on Kevin and Query. We'll get into the bracket, give away some numbers as well. For those that have missed it, 1075thefan.com, our bracket challenge, you can find that there. What is it, $1,000 prize?
$1,000 from nextleveljobs.org.
I love it. We'll give our thoughts on the bracket here. Coming up next, 93.5, 1075, The Fan.
Twin Peaks is excited to announce the kickoff of their $2 million bracket challenge presented by Dos Equis. Pick the perfect bracket and grab the big prize. Plus, they're offering more ways to win, including $20,000 cash for 60-plus correct games, Twin Peaks for a year for the best overall bracket, and more. TwinPeaksBracketChallenge.com to get registered and learn more. Submit your bracket for all 63 games in the men's college basketball tournament between Sunday 3/13 and Thursday 3/17 at noon. Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
Take a shot on college hoops this March with a risk-free bet on FanDuel Sportsbook. Hey, it's Mark from Kevin and Query. It doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or already have an account. All customers get a risk-free bet on the bracket. Just sign into the FanDuel Sportsbook app to claim your stay. And if you're new to FanDuel, sign up with promo code MARK to get in on the action. Then you can bet on the underdog you've had your eye on or go with the favorite. Either way, it's risk-free. So if you think Notre Dame is going to punch their ticket against Rutgers tonight, you can put your money that place. Come on. Easy, Kev. Either way, it's up to you. And with cash out, the ball's in your court. So you can close out your bet whenever you want before the game is over. It's one of the many reasons I love betting on FanDuel Sportsbook. Plus, they have everyday odds boosts and specials. There's no better place to bet the tournament than FanDuel Sportsbook. So again, join now with promo code MARK. Or if you already have an account, sign into the FanDuel Sportsbook app to claim your risk-free bet today. Again, if you're joining, that's promo code MARK, M-A-R-C. 21 and over and present in Indiana. Refund issued is now withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max refund $5. Offer is non-transferable. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Hi, this is Ted Bishop, PGA General Manager at the Legends Golf Club in Franklin. This year we are celebrating our 30th anniversary of being in business, and I want to personally invite you to become a member at our course, which was selected as the 2021 Indiana Golf Course of the Year. We are offering a limited number of 2-year Monday through Friday memberships starting at $199 a year. Yep, you heard it right, only $199 a year, and you can upgrade to a 7-day membership for only $50 per year more. If you ride, you just pay for the golf cart, and if you walk, there's no additional charge. These memberships will expire on December 31 of 2023. Legends has 27 Fazio Design Championship holes. Our regular players will tell you that we are known for great playing conditions and a friendly staff. Join the Legends Golf Club today. Don't delay, because limited spots are available. Call 317-736-8186 or buy online at thelegendsgolfclub.com. And I'll see you on the first tee.
Golfers, you're invited to make the short trip to experience Antler Point Golf Course in Rushville. Antler Point is under new ownership and just underwent renovations and is ready for you to experience this spring. Weekday specials, senior specials, and affordable weekends, 18 or 9 holes. AntlerPointGolf.com is less than an hour from Indy. You want to play more golf in 2022? Give Antler Point Golf Course in Rushville a swing. You'll be glad you came. AntlerPointGolf.com. That's point with an E. See you soon.
Jake Query here. Recently I returned to college to finish my degree, and I encourage you to join me. Whether you're like me and life simply got in the way, or you never went to college at all, Indiana offers financial assistance for those ready to move forward. If I can do it, I know you can too. If you're looking for a better job or doing it for your family, Indiana has grants to pay for over 150 certificates in high-wage industries. You're sure to find a tuition-free option that fits you. To apply, visit nextleveljobs.org today. Sponsored by the Indiana Commission for Higher Education. That's nextleveljobs.org.
Sometimes a change of seasons calls for a change of scenery. Well, in St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, you can trade in the heat of a blasting furnace for the healing warmth of the sun. You can trade in gray skies for a beautiful calming blue. You can trade in shoveling sidewalks for biking the Beach Walk Promenade. And you can trade in white snow for 35 miles of pristine white sand. Sounds like you found a winter getaway to immerse all your senses. Start planning your beach escape at visitstpeteclearwater.com.
Soccer Saturday featuring Indy 11. If this is your football, this is your show. Saturday at 9 on The Fan. It's Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
We'll give away some numbers here in a second. Real quick, so Indiana now advances on to play St. Mary's, and you've heard me mention Randy Bennett a lot, their head coach out at St. Mary's. I met him at the Final Four a couple years ago on Radio Row and just said, man, I'd like to see that campus. And he said, well, we're in the Bay Area in California. Take my number down, and if you're out in the Bay Area, give me a text. So I did, Nick Yeoman and I, when we were doing IndyCar, and we went over to St. Mary's, and Randy Bennett drove over and met us and was walking us around, took us all around. The campus is tiny. It's cool, but it's tiny. And just in talking to him, he took us all the way through the locker room and their workout facilities and everything. And he also was at St. Louis under Lorenzo Romar when I was in St. Louis. But basically what he told me was when he took over the St. Mary's job, his first head coaching job back in 2001, he was trying to slowly build their roster. And he had been there for about 4 or 5 years when he was desperate for a point guard. And somebody said, look, man, I know a guy that knows a guy, that knows of a point guard from Australia. And he's like, and he had never seen the guy and said, you know what, I need a point guard desperately. So he said, fine. And that point guard was Patty Mills. And after Patty Mills came, that opened up this door of recruiting in Australia, where St. Mary's, Australia and New Zealand, they have recruited heavily there and developed a pipeline, quite frankly, of more mature, and by that I just simply mean by age, players from a basketball standpoint in Australia that have played for like national teams and things like that since they were like 13, 14, 15 years old, and they come to St. Mary's. And so that's what the St. Mary's blueprint kind of is, and that's what Indiana now is going to face, is guys that just have a real strong ability to shoot from anywhere on the floor.
Yeah, skilled.
And skilled players, yes.
Yeah, skilled, high basketball IQ. They want to play the pace very slowed down. They don't foul a lot. They don't get the foul line a whole lot. They aren't going to run away from you. I mean, they've won a lot of games in the 60s this year, Jake. So IU's just got to be ready for a pace probably similar to last night, but hopefully for all of our sanity, a little bit less choppy than things were last night. I did want to mention this. The Colts did add a few draft picks yesterday, Jake. The compensatory pick were announced for 2022, and for those that don't know what that is, basically it's a formula. It's based off of how much you spend in free agency. If guys that are your own free agents go elsewhere and sign contracts versus who you brought in. It's a long formula. I don't need to get into the nitty-gritty of it, but you would think, based off how the Colts usually operate, they would acquire compensatory picks, and they did that. They acquired at the end of the 5th round and into the 6th round picks there. Basically, Danico Autry to Tennessee, Jacoby Brissett to Miami, Anthony Walker to Cleveland last offseason. That helped them in this process. Sam Tevy, the offensive lineman, was the only one that they were able to sign and counted against this formula. So right now the Colts have 9 picks in this year's draft, 6 in the first 5 rounds. Again, don't have that first round.
You know what's interesting, Kevin, was when people look at the Colts sitting on their hands in free agency, seemingly doing so. If you look at the teams that have been aggressive in free agency, how many of them are teams that you consider to be contenders?
So far?
Yeah. I mean, people look at it and they go, what are the Colts doing? Look at these teams. Well, who's going out and spinning a boatload? Jacksonville?
I'd say the Chargers have been
the
very
Chargers
active.
Have pushed. They are all chips in.
Just in general, I feel like the AFC West has a bit of that feel.
Well, that feels like an arms race, doesn't it?
It really does. Now, we'll see what happens with Watson in Cleveland, but if they make that move, I mean, Amari Cooper, Deshaun Watson the same offseason, that's a totally different outfit for them. Charlie Clifford from Wish TV just said IU has landed in Portland.
6 a.m., buddy.
6 a.m. local time. The Hoosiers land in Portland. You think that's a real big deal? I don't think it's as much as maybe some other people are making.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, so you bus now to the hotel, you have everybody sleep till about 4 in the afternoon, try to get your body adjusted. I mean, if they were playing...
It's not like you're going to have some 2-hour practice anyway.
If the game was going to be at noon tomorrow, that would be an issue, local time, but isn't it like 4 o'clock Portland time?
Yeah, 4:20.
That's perfect in Portland, right?
They got to find a gym to work at still, too. So
that's right.
They got plenty of time tonight.
Didn't Mike Woodson say that?
Yeah.
We got to find a gym to go work out.
They have a caged park outside of the Moda Center that the balls are pumped up and they can give it a go there. We come back here on Kevin and Query. Again, we'll go over a little bit of the bracket, what our thoughts are. Jake has got the Indiana rival as his... I guess I have the other Indiana rival making a deep run as well. Any surprise picks, and we will give away some numbers as well. Kevin and Query here on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Gus Bradley, who is the new defensive coordinator of the Colts.
I think as a defensive coordinator, you're always looking at that fourth quarter rush and how important it is. It wins games for you. It starts up front with our defensive line, and then we build around that. And those cover corners, especially in our style of play, I mean, we're going to be aggressive on the perimeter. You see a lot of press coverage. We've got to win, at the line of scrimmage.
The Ride with JMV.
Weekdays, 3 to 6.
On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Stop by your locally owned and operated Big O Tires and save up to $100 instantly on Cooper, Nitto, and Pirelli tires. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Join Planet Fitness now through March 16th and get the PF Black Card for zero enrollment and $22.99 a month. You'll enjoy an upgraded experience with tons of perks.
Like access to more than 2,000 locations worldwide?
Yep.
Super soothing hydro massage chairs?
Yes.
Can I bring a friend every time?
Sure.
Can my friend be a horse?
Nay. Sorry. Get the PF Black Card and feel fit-tacular. Zero enrollment, $22.99 a month. Deal ends March 16th. See Club for details.
And we talk about home refinancing. Golden Oak Lending is where you need to go. They have a tool called Zipline, Golden Oak Lending's fast and easy online mortgage tool. The average cash-out customer saves $904 a month. That is an eye-popping number. Even if you refinance as recently as last year, Golden Oak might be able to lower your interest rate even further, help you discover any untapped equity into your home. Home financing has a language all its own, but Golden Oak Lending speaks mortgage and loves translating it for customers. they have really done it again at 2.25% fixed. It is a rate that can really help you if you are in the market right now or just looking to save a little bit of money. So no matter your unique situation or goals, you have an expert lending partner for life in Golden Oak Lending. Head to goldenoaklending.com right now to see what your home equity can do for you. NMLS 114937, 2.25% fix, 3.336% APR, FHA 15-year mortgage, 20% equity, and approved credit.
Indianapolis, at Geico, our employees' careers matter to us.
An inclusive office matters to me.
We hear you, Kelly. Geico has employee resource groups that bring people from all communities together because diversity matters. Your hopes and dreams matter. Even giving you a little space, your lucky bobblehead matters.
Want to work at Geico, Randy? He says yes.
When it comes to your career, what matters to you matters to Geico. We're now hiring claims, sales, and customer service agents. Apply today at careers.geico.com/Indianapolis and let's get growing.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
All right, let's talk about last night's game, baby, with the great Seth Greenberg. You know I'll have a take on it also as we get ready for the greatest weekend of the year. Let's talk Hoosiers today.
You're listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
So I'm staying up till midnight again tonight. It's looking like Notre Dame and Rutgers 9:10 is the estimated tip. Indiana was after 9:30 last night, right?
What time did they tip? It was they were about 20 minutes late, right, from tipping?
I thought it was after.
Then they had problems with their plane getting out?
9:30. Yeah, just landed in Portland. They'll have an open practice much later today, and then 7:20 tomorrow against St. Mary's. We've not talked a whole lot about the actual bracket and selections within that bracket. Again, 1075thefan.com. You can find our bracket challenge. That East region, Jake, let's start there. You like Kentucky coming out of that region. It's got Baylor, Kentucky, Purdue, and UCLA, the top 4 seeds.
I mean, it's stacked, right?
So is your Elite Eight Baylor, Kentucky?
Correct. Well, wait a minute. I got to look at the one. I did the one for the station challenge, right?
Yeah, mine is also in there as well. Our group is on ESPN.com. Got a couple hundred people in there, don't we, Mark? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I just uploaded mine last night.
I hate to be like over chalk guy, but yes, that is how I have it. I
have 2 different teams in the Elite Eight.
You have Purdue and
I've got the Bruins.
I'll say UCLA.
Okay. I could see that.
And honestly, if UCLA was in some other regions, Jake, I'd have them in the Final Four.
I have Indiana as a Cinderella getting to the Sweet 16 and losing to Baylor.
Okay, so you have Indiana beating St. Mary's and then UCLA?
I do. I think the way Trayce Jackson Davis is playing, it changes Indiana. If they can get...
He's looked like a totally different player.
Yeah, he has. He's now, offensively and defensively.
St. Mary's definitely does not have an elite rim protector, but UCLA, I don't know if you remember this guy, but he transferred from Rutgers. You remember Miles Johnson had a headband at Rutgers, kind of always gave Indiana and Purdue trouble. He's UCLA's big guy now. So if you want to look a little bit down the road, that would be a Saturday game. That could be a matchup there that I think Trayce Jackson Davis would finally see someone that is used to facing that type of talent. I've got Purdue going to the Final Four. I know they've had ups and downs, and I know Purdue fans are, come Friday, 2 o'clock, you want to check the blood pressure of Purdue fans?
Yeah, you're right about that.
I mean, they've been waiting for this, for certainly at least a year.
Who do you see coming out of the West?
Okay, so the West is the top left bracket. Gonzaga the 1, Duke the 2, the 3 is Texas Tech, the 4 is Arkansas. I've got Arkansas losing to Vermont.
Okay.
That game is in Buffalo.
I agree with Kurt McCracken. I think Arkansas is pretty good.
Believe in the Catamounts. 28-5. It's a great record. I think Vermont blasted UMBC in their conference championship game. I've got Gonzaga, though.
It's hard to go against Gonzaga.
But you were thinking Memphis, weren't you?
Well, before the pairings came out, I was saying, I saw Memphis. here is the thing about the NCAA tournament, Kevin. There are two kinds of teams that, like, if you think about Syracuse, about every 4 or 5 years, Syracuse has some totally out of left field run to the Elite Eight or the Final Four. Wisconsin, every couple of years, Wisconsin has a Cinderella run to the Elite Eight or the Final Four in years that are not the typical Syracuse-Wisconsin years. And why is that? It's because they play a style of play that their conference foes are used to, and therefore their conference record is a little bit misleading, because when they go against programs that are not used to playing that matchup zone or not used to playing that slow-down offense, it totally takes teams away from what they want to do because it's completely different than what anybody else does, and therefore they're able to make runs against non-conference foes. Memphis, when I saw them play in their conference tournament, I was like, oh my gosh, the length and the speed and the havoc and the chaos they create on the floor is going to be, Houston is used to that, and SMU is used to that. But a Boise State is not, a Connecticut is not, a Michigan is not, or whoever they may see. The problem is Gonzaga probably has the talent and precision to overcome that. So when I was saying I thought Memphis would make a run, that was before I saw that Gonzaga would be their second-round opponent.
Now, taking that a step further, Jake, isn't that Purdue?
Yes.
No one is used to Zach Edey, Travion Williams outside of the Big Ten.
I mean,
Purdue went undefeated, right? Outside of the Big Ten?
Right.
And Jaden Ivey is still, I think, unlike anybody in college basketball right now. So, theoretically, again, a lot of people bring up the Chris Beard PTSD from Little Rock and Texas Tech. Rob Blackman made a good point with this earlier in the week. I forgot that Purdue-Texas Tech matchup. Remember, Isaac Haas had the elbow injury, didn't play in that game. That was a huge loss for him. This is a much different Purdue team. Sure, Carson Edwards, Ryan Klein in their own right. An unbelievable duo. But still, how Purdue can come at you is very, very different than everybody else in college basketball. It's one for the Big Ten teams to have seen that kind of progress and evolve, and they're used to it. Scouting-wise, they're used to it as well. I mean, we saw it like in the Big Ten tournament. Micah Shrewsbury was throwing some crazy defense at Purdue when they played Penn State. You would think the Boilermakers would have a little bit of a surprise element, or just a oh wow. How Wyoming looked at Indiana last night, Purdue could have that impact on some teams.
Another team, Kevin, that every year always amuses me. Now, this is not the case this year. There was a run there for about 5 or 6 straight years where every year the tournament pairings would come out, and I'd look at the 2 or 3 seeds, and I'm like, wait a minute. Florida won 25 games this year? I've not heard anything about Florida. That was always the team that it was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Probably because Kentucky was so dominant in the headlines of the SEC. The 2 teams this year that feel that way to me, and they actually could be on a collision course with one another, out of the South, Tennessee and Villanova.
I thought you'd say Tennessee.
I mean, Tennessee is a 3 seed, and I mean, they obviously are playing well. And Villanova, I just think the world of Jay Wright as a coach. I don't think you can sleep on Villanova coming out of the South, but I do have, again, I hate to be overly chalk guy, but I think Arizona is really good, and I've got Arizona going to the title game.
My national championship game, a rematch of a game we saw earlier this year on a neutral floor. I've got Purdue over Nova.
Really? Man, people will love you if that happens.
Now, I made the financial commitment to Purdue back in January, but I still believe the Villanova thing, again, I probably overthink this, Jake. A stat that I really look towards in making these selections, how good of a foul shooting team are you?
Well, yeah.
I think it's a big part of making a run. I believe Villanova, if I'm not mistaken, is the best foul shooting team, either in college basketball or the tournament. And that draw just doesn't overwhelm me. Tennessee is the 3, like you said. I like Arizona. That would be a tough matchup in the Elite Eight, but I love the Gillespie kid, Justin Moore, another guard for Nova. The team in that South region that I got going to the Sweet 16, I've got Michigan beating Tennessee. I've got Michigan beating Colorado State and then beating Tennessee.
I've got Michigan losing to Colorado State. I know that they're really good, but Colorado State's decent.
Yeah, I think the Dickinson foul trouble against Indiana was a huge part of that game, and they just kind of blew it. I mean, they've played pretty good basketball. I don't know. I'm just not. Shouldn't they have a fan advantage here?
Yeah, but I mean, yes. But in the tournament, you never know, though, with fan advantage because, yeah, you might have one school that has everybody there, but then all the other schools that are there that are in the building are rooting against them, so it balances out. You know, it's... Look, Michigan, it wouldn't surprise me if Michigan makes a run, but...
Illinois, Arizona would be an interesting Sweet 16 matchup.
That's a rematch of a great tournament game in history.
Great game.
Historical past. The Midwest, to me, is the region that has the greatest disparity between their top two seeds and everybody else. I think Kansas and Auburn are far superior to Wisconsin, Providence. Who's the 5 seed? Iowa. I mean, Iowa's playing well.
They're kind of the hot pick, right?
I think Auburn comes out of the Midwest.
You guys got any double-digit seeds going into your Sweet 16 early date?
So Michigan is one for me. The other one I have is in that Midwest region. I like South Dakota State. They haven't lost since mid-December. They play Providence in round 1. I think Providence has been, very lucky, to be frank, late games. And then I've got them beating Iowa.
Yep. I've got South Dakota State in my Sweet 16
Okay,
also.
I've got Iowa losing to Richmond.
Ooh, the Spiders.
So 12-13 matchup for you, or do you?
No, I've got Richmond and Providence.
Okay.
I think Indiana. I'm telling you, I think Indiana can make the Sweet 16.
I got Colgate over Wisconsin.
You know, I thought long and hard about that. Again, I look at where these games are played. That game is in Milwaukee.
Mark, you knew exactly. Colgate. So you're taking aim with Colgate?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Okay. Would that be the crest of your? If that's correct, would that be the crest of your?
Mark, why do you even say it? Why do you even say it?
I'm just saying. I just took a gleam over at your.
Nathan tweets a picture of
bracket.
Purdue fans listening to Kevin Bowen this morning. Just a picture of a bunch of cigarettes. That is kind of Purdue fan. I mean, literally, Friday is going to be so nerve-wracking for him. I'm not worried about Yale at all. Yale's got nobody over 6'8".
I mean, Purdue fans are always waiting for the other shoe to drop. You know what I mean?
49ers restructure the contracts of George Kittle and Eric Armstead, creating $18 million in cap space. That from Field Yates, who we've had on the show before. That could, I would have to look at it, that could get them to the number they need to get to without trading Jimmy Garoppolo by 4 o'clock today.
You think Garoppolo is going to be just available to?
Well, if they're able to clear that cap space, Jake, they don't have to trade him by 4.
Right.
They could hold on to him a little bit longer. Should we give away some numbers?
Sure.
All right, Mark, who's been hanging around the longest?
Let's go with Mike.
Okay, Mike, let me read off the numbers that are available. If you are on hold, please listen closely. These are the available numbers. 2, 16, 18, 19, 21, 25, 26, 28, 31, 37 to 42, 45, 46, 47, 48, 51 to 53, 55 to 57, 59, 60, 62, and 63. So that being said, Mike, shoot me a number.
Let's go 10. That's my favorite, 59.
Okay.
Boy, Mike. Good luck watching games with Mike. You might get distracted there.
Get your damn act together.
This is not good. Mike gets Sister Jean after that comment. What are we doing here?
That's kind of fitting, actually.
What are we doing here?
You need some Jesus.
Yeah. This is awkward.
Okay. Well,
Mike. Got
Folks,
young children listen to this show.
We appreciate you listening to this last show of Kevin and Query here on 93.
Hopefully those kids can't do math.
Looking over my left shoulder, and HR is waiting in the hallway. Nick, save us, Nick.
55.
55. Nick, you got a team that I couldn't tell you a single thing about, except for that I think they're from the southern part of California. They're the 15th seed in the West, and they are Cal State Fullerton. Keep in mind, there is a prize for being the victim of the largest blowout in the tournament.
Nick, if you get them for the College World Series, that might be a good selection, but not this one. Darnell, give us a number, Darnell.
Hey, guys, 28.
28 for Darnell. 28's taken, Darnell. Give me another one. Oh, wait a minute. Did I say
Yeah,
sorry. That is my mistake. I had said that it was available, and it was not. My apologies.
Okay, well, let's go with number 2.
Number 2?
Ooh.
Darnell, let me ask you a question. How often do you listen to this program?
Daily while I'm getting ready for the work day or the workout day or what have you.
Okay.
Darnell?
I am wearing shorts of this university, which is where I began my college career. Do you know what that would be?
Yep, the University of Kansas.
Rock Chalk Jayhawk to Darnell, the number 1 seed in the Midwest, off the board.
Indiana playing at Allen Fieldhouse next year? Does that start next year?
I think they do have
home and home.
Home and home with them, yeah.
Love that. Eric.
Hey, good morning, fellas.
Good morning, Eric. Eric, what's your first initial of your last name? We already had an Eric call in earlier.
K.
Oh, I was hoping it was Eric B. We'd play some Raheem.
Eric.
Exactly.
Eric K. Give us a number.
16.
Do you know Rick Barry? Do you know of Rick Barry?
I do. The underhand free throw shooting.
That is correct. He is the only man to have led the NCAA, the ABA, and the NBA in scoring. Do you know where he did so as an NCAA player?
I do not recall.
The Hurricanes of Miami, Florida, the proud home of Stephen Holder.
Larinaga. All right.
In the Midwest. Larinaga's right.
Jake, give us a number. Jake.
Caller Jake, not me.
State Farm, Jake. Hello.
Sounds like you guys are on hold.
Jake, you got a number for
Sounds
us.
like we're on hold.
You are on the radio.
Jake, you're live, man. Don't say anything you'll regret, but just give us a number. Or not.
I don't have the patience, Jack, with you today.
All right, Jake.
We got to go. Brandon.
Shocked that Jake would be the one that's not awake yet.
Brandon, was that your roommate at Kansas?
That's right.
Brandon, give us a number.
I'll take 46.
Oh, boy.
Cue it up. Cue it up, Mark. Brandon.
Can we just move on to the next person?
Brandon, you got the guy. Yeah. You got the team that is actually monitoring the pearly gates of the NCAA tournament. And they are the Peacocks. St. Peter's.
Are they heading to Mass?
Let's go, Brandon is right. St. Peter's off the board.
Are they going to St. John's for Mass over there on Georgia Street?
That's right.
What you do? A couple more here?
Yeah, let's do.
Craig.
We'll go with 2.
2's off the board, Craig. Here's what I've got. 16, 18, 19, 21, 25, 26, 31, 37 to 42. Stop me anytime. 45, 46, 47, 48, 51 to 53, 55 to 57, 59, 60, 62, 63.
So 63 then.
Craig, what's your first initial of your last name?
G.
G?
Yes.
You got Tyrese Halliburton's boys. The Cyclones of Iowa State, an 11 seed. They've got LSU in round
Keep in mind,
1.
double-digit seed to advance the furthest.
Good point. That's a team I know nothing about this year, Iowa State.
They're the Cyclones. They're the Cyclones, and strangely, their mascot's a bird.
Outside of that, Jimmy! Oh, boy. Is this training camp, Jimmy?
No, it's not.
Oh, thankfully.
Hey, how about Jake? You gave me some tips on the St. Pete race, so let's go with Colton Herta, 26.
Ooh. All right. Did my tips work for you, Jimmy?
Yes, they did. We ended up sitting in the pits at the exit of turn 1 so we could see turn 1, and then we had a big screen. So
okay. You got Ron Hunter's old school that caused him to fall off a stool. That rhymes. Georgia State, the 16 seed in the West.
Well, maybe they'll get blown out.
That's exactly right.
Good way to look at it. They've got Gonzaga. I assume that line will be huge. By the way, IndyCar, you're off to Texas this weekend.
That is correct. Yep. Leave Friday evening for Austin. Let's go one more for the Big O Tires Sportscenter update here.
Gary? Jason.
Hey guys, good morning.
Morning.
How about 45?
45. It's a great fullback number.
Speaking of former coaches that coached in the state of Indiana, Jason.
This team plays like a hard-nosed fullback.
They do, man. He can flat out coach. Kelvin Sampson and Houston off the board.
Cougars, they are a 5 seed. They've got UAB, and then the winner would get the Fighting Illini or the Mocs of Chattanooga. What's a mock?
Moccasins.
Is that what it is?
I think it is, yeah. Isn't that right?
We'll give away... I'll believe you. We'll give away the last, what do we got, about a dozen or so? 15?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Give away those tomorrow.
Sounds good. Round it out, right?
Who's 59? Mike wants to know. He had 59. Who is 59?
Mike, I mean, come on now. You got Sister Jean, Mike. And,
Sister Jean.
And go to church.
Yes.
Gosh.
He's going to have to make sure he repents, Mark, while he's on the line. Do we have time for a big O
Said he got
Tires?
dropped. I was like, yeah.
Isn't it that season? The Lenten season, isn't that what you do? You say you're sorry and you're good to go. Yes, it is a Big O Tires SportsCenter update time here on The Fan.
The Sports Center update on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan is presented by Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Big O Tires SportsCenter update time here on The Fan. Last night in Dayton, the Hoosiers, not only did they win, Jake, but they covered as well. They beat Wyoming 66-58. Sloppy game, ugly at times, tournament nerves, whatever you want to chalk it up to. Team 66 against 67, whatever. Nonetheless, Indiana survives and advances. Trayce Jackson Davis, absolutely outstanding. 29 points, the best player on the floor. Really outclassed Graham Ike in that matchup. And Jordan Geronimo, some very important minutes off the bench. 15 points for Geronimo. Mark, do you have that audio, Trayce Jackson Davis on Geronimo afterwards? This was Trayce after the game on Jordan Geronimo, who again, with Race Thompson struggling, IU needed somebody, and Geronimo stepped up big time.
Even throughout the Big Ten tournament, I think Geronimo's been a key to our run. So I wasn't surprised at all, man. He's an energy guy. He's going to go rebound. He's going to go get things at the top of the backboard and dunk it hard. So I'm happy for him because he's performing at a really, really high level for us. And without him, we probably would have lost that game. So credit to him.
You know, Jake, when you think about that Michigan comeback in the Big Ten tournament, it wasn't as much of the scoring that Geronimo did last night. But remember, he was big in that comeback. Mike Woodson turned to him, probably more as an energy guy. Again, Race Thompson struggling a little bit there. There is some big-time potential with Jordan Geronimo, and he stepped up for the Hoosiers last night.
It does kind of feel like you're seeing it come together for him all before our very eyes, right?
I agreed. You got to love the Mike Woodson quote after the game. The first thing he said to Jon Rothstein on the court afterwards was, man, credit Wyoming, they played hard. That is sign for, boy, Wyoming was a lot worse than I thought they were.
They did not play well. They did not. If they, like I told you,
just kind of happy to be there and like nervous to be there, Jake. That's what I saw with Wyoming last night.
If they can't hit from outside, they're in trouble. And when Jeffries went 0 for 5 for 3-point range for Wyoming, it was like advantage Indiana. And to your point, Kevin, I know we keep saying it, but Ike just, I think, was kind of head on a swivel with the speed in which Trayce Jackson Davis could maneuver on the low block.
Yeah, again, Trayce Jackson Davis seen a lot of Graham Ikes in the Big Ten. Graham Ike has not seen a lot of Trayce Jackson Davises in the Mountain West. So that means tomorrow, 5-12 matchup. St. Mary's the 5 seed. Hoping to have Randy Bennett, the head coach of the Gales, on tomorrow. On the year, St. Mary's 25-7. They've beaten Gonzaga. Jake, kind of a weird scheduling thing with the West Coast Conference. St. Mary's has played 2 games in the last, I believe it's 3 weeks, whereas Indiana's played 7 games in the last 3 weeks. Again, that is a 7:20 tip tomorrow night.
So one team is going to be sleep deprived and the other is way well rested, right?
That's pretty much what it is. Now, you've got Indiana to the Sweet 16, so you believe they will be the Dayton team that keeps going, not the winner tonight, Rutgers or Notre Dame.
I do. I like their matchups. I mean, listen, St. Mary's is really good, and I hope to have Randy Bennett on the show tomorrow. But I just think Indiana, the way Trayce Jackson Davis is playing, Kevin, he's playing at a very high level, and I could see them riding his back a little bit.
Yeah, St. Mary's, they've got a big guy, 6'10", 250, but not the rim protector that you would think of that size. All right, Purdue, they've got Yale. That is Friday at 2 o'clock. Yale, 19-9 on the year. They won the Ivy League, beat Princeton to get in. Again, a small team. Their star, Azar Swain, 266 career three-pointers, averages 19 a game. I would assume that is the Eric Hunter defensive assignment for Purdue there at 2 o'clock from Pfizer Forum in Milwaukee.
Last night, NBA, it was not pretty, Kevin, at all. But it did mean that I could go home in time to watch Indiana play, right? Memphis last night, 135-102 over the Pacers. Jalen Smith, I guess the one positive, had 15 for the blue and gold, but they were down by as many as 39. Carlisle cleared the bench, not pretty. What was pretty last night in the NBA, Kyrie Irving, 60 points for the Nets. They beat the Magic 150-108.
Couple quick hitters here. Again, IU women, they are a 3 seed in the tournament. They'll host Charlotte on Saturday at 1:30. Kentucky is the 6 seed. Those games are at Assembly Hall. by the way. IUPUI is a 13 seed. They got Oklahoma. Shout out to the Wabash, the Little Giants. They're in the Final Four of the D3 men's tournament. That semifinal game is in Fort Wayne, actually, on 7:30 on Friday. I used to think the D2, D3 national titles, I felt like they always used to put them like noon leading into the tournament games. But I feel like this D3 championship's on Saturday night. I wish it was live, so if Wabash got there, a little bit more of appointment television. And as Jake mentioned earlier, he's off to Texas, the second IndyCar race of the year, the first oval, 12:30 on Sunday. That should only go up against one NCAA tournament game at that time.
Well, that's good.
And hopefully for this market's sake, it's not Purdue.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I mean, we used to do the St. Pete race the weekend of the regional semifinals and regional finals, so, or, like in that time frame.
Right.
So you're always kind of up against it.
And this Texas a little bit earlier, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because they wanted to get it in before Indy.
See, the Colts are one of two teams proposing a rule change for overtime.
Yeah, there's some talk
Colts
of this
and Eagles
at the Combine, right? Each team gets a possession, and that's a regular season and postseason, correct?
Mm-hmm. And then the Titans want both teams an opportunity to possess the ball in overtime unless the team with the first possession scores a touchdown and a successful 2-point try.
I think they should do it like they used to do the XFL and just roll the ball out to the middle of the field and have two guys run and somebody separates his shoulder, right?
Nothing says player safety like that. And nothing sums up the Colts right now, and that the biggest news is, we hired Reggie Wayne officially, and we have a proposal for overtime.
That's right.
Screw the
tickets on sale soon.
As Mike would love, $69 million in free agency the Colts have here in cap space. No, let's talk about one of our greats coming back to coach. By the way, hoping to have Reggie Wayne on at some point to talk about him being the new wide receivers coach here in Indy.
You had a lunch-in yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah, a little bit of a lunch. I call it more of just a lunch. Lunch-in sounds a little high-end.
Oh, okay. You're not swanky, huh?
Doesn't it?
I'm just saying. You had a lunch with all the coaches.
It's like tea and crumpets.
By the way, pop quiz coming up 10 minutes from now. It's Kevin and Query.
Stop by your locally owned and operated Big O Tires and save up to $100 instantly on Cooper, Nitto, and Pirelli tires. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Want to save 17% on XPS and select Alienware computers powered by Intel Core processors? Shop Dell's semi-annual sale now at Dell.com/semi-annual sale or call 800-BUY-DELL.
Hey, it's March Madness. Jake Query here, and I'm excited about this, actually, because joining us now on the program, on the Payless Liquors hotline, as a matter of fact, he is with LogicSports.net. And Scott Allen, here's the reality. It's perfect that it's LogicSports.net because this time of year we're talking about basketball, and you got ways that people can basically tickle the twine when it comes to finding out, just evaluating and assessing the different games. I like the fact that you handicap with logic. Welcome to the program. Tell me about it.
Hey, glad to be with you guys, and congrats to you on Indiana's big win last night, staying alive there. Hey, it's an exciting time of year. In my opinion, the best 48 hours of sports kind of coming up starting tomorrow. That going along with St. Patrick's Day. Incredible combination. Also an exciting time to get on board with us here at LogicSports.net. We're a common sense approach to our evaluation of games, making picks. We've got our March Madness package going. It goes all the way through the national championship game. You get every basketball selection we make, which is including NBA. And like I said, all the way through the national championship game on April 4th. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm pumped up for the start of things tomorrow. So again,
Scott,
what'd you think of your Hoosiers last night?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, you and I talked about it yesterday, and I'm like, look, if Wyoming can't shoot from the outside, Indiana's going to have, I'm not going to say easy peasy, but that's exactly what it was. I mean, Wyoming struggled. Indiana now has got to turn around quickly to take on St. Mary's, and that's probably, I'm assuming, like when people go to LogicSports.net and they see the way that you're breaking these games down, it's factoring in things like that and just the logic of it, right? Like getting away from the quote-unquote lock of the week and rather just taking a more conventional assessment of the game. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, very fair. We don't do locks. We don't do guarantees or anything like that. It's looking at things from purely a common sense perspective. And as you know, Indiana's going to have to, fly across the country out to Portland, take on a West Coast team. I mean, you have to factor things like travel in. You know, they're going to play on the West Coast time zone. Saying all that, though, I mean, the line just came out from what I saw. The Hoosiers getting 3 points, and you know, I haven't decided if we're going to play this game or not, but I actually like Indiana with 3 points against the St. Mary's team that really slows things down. I think that plays into. I think that's a play. That's a play I like there because I think that's a good matchup for the Hoosiers there.
Multiple packages available. LogicSports.net. Easy to remember because think about basketball, of course, the net. LogicSports.net. Scott Allen, the handicapper, with us. Multiple packages starting as low as $199. Scott, appreciate the time. Look forward to talking to you over the course of the tournament.
Hey, glad to be with you guys. Look forward to it as well. And good luck to Purdue and all the local teams up there this week as well.
Again, Scott Allen, LogicSports.net.
The Ride with JMV.
It's not just about the possibility of Amari Cooper as a free agent. This is about the Colts in free agency. Stink and take a swing. You have money, spend it. I mean, sitting around and stinking waiting. Are you not tired of it? I just don't want to sit around and have to hear about, well, you know, we're drafting and we see the future. I mean, by the time you get to the future with these guys, Jonathan Taylor's going to be in the past.
The Ride with JMV.
Weekdays 3 to 6.
On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. Have you studied? Can you handle the pressure? Sharpen your pencils. It's time for the Pop Quiz with Kevin and Query. Brought to you by Jiffy Lube, Indiana's favorite oil change since 1985.
All right, it's Pop Quiz time. Give us a ring, 317-239-1070. I have not looked at the Pop Quiz. Scotty, level of difficulty? A 6 on a 1 to 10 scale. There. I put Wyoming at about a 2.5 in level of difficulty last night for Indiana. Listening to the show helps. So give us a ring again, 317-239.
That doesn't bode well for me.
70 with the Pop Quiz.
Okay. Mark, you've been putting out a lot of fires over there today. What, like everything possible that could go wrong out of your control has gone wrong today, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
People are calling for Tony Katz. Is that right? Did somebody just call
I want the trip to Orlando? I do too, but I don't know what you're calling.
I mean, what the hell is going on? People want to call in and talk about...
That's a running gag that people call from... Because on WIBC's thing, it says our phone number.
Oh,
so people call all the time.
Well, and also
I get some crazy calls.
Is this 239-1070?
Guys will go on tangents, and I'll let them go for like a minute. I'm like, yeah, you got the wrong
Is
number.
Gary Todd there?
Yeah. All right, who do we have for the Pop Quiz?
Again, 317-239-1070. I think Mark is fielding a few calls, so we'll let him get through those before we bring somebody here on air.
Mark's taking
IU
calls.
wins their first tournament game in, 6 years?
People that want to go to Orlando.
By the way, we do have a bracket challenge up on our website, 1075thefan.com. $1,000 there to the winner. And tomorrow we'll give away our final dozen or so numbers in, what are we calling that, Jake's tournament game?
For which one? The
number
I just
game.
call it the numbers game, right?
Okay, that's original.
Basically, just call it the numbers game.
Speaking of numbers.
Yeah, feel free to pick one.
Let's go with, I use out of the first 4, so let's go with number 4.
Drew.
Hello. Drew, how we doing?
Good, how are you guys?
Drew, who's going to win it all?
Well, hopefully IU, but I have Kansas.
Okay, you got IU in the Sweet 16 like Jake?
I do.
Okay, you feel confident? Is that a heart or is that a head? Is that, where are we going with that pick?
I think it's more hard than anything, but I know they get out of the second round against St. Mary's.
I think UCLA is going to be tough out. I think they can beat St. Mary's. UCLA, tough out.
Fair enough.
That was a nice little Kansas impression, Allen Fieldhouse impression there.
Have you been to Allen Fieldhouse?
I have not.
Oh, man.
I don't know how high it is on the bucket list, but...
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's very Hinkle-esque. I will say that.
I was talking to actually one of the Colts coaches yesterday. He was new to the staff, and he's like, got to get over to Hinkle. You think Hinkle's got that, like, national
I think it does now because so
Pete Carroll
much.
and Andy Reid stopped by there.
I mean, so
during the
much was
combine.
made when the Final Four was here and Butler was in it, and
Well, the tournament last year too.
the tournament last year and Hoosiers, and all right, Drew, are we ready here for question number 1?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We got a Notre Dame question on here. Notre Dame basketball question.
Hell yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome.
Indiana last night knocked off the Cowboys of Wyoming to pick up its first NCAA tournament win since 2016. Name the last team that the Hoosiers beat in the NCAA tournament game. Was it A, Chattanooga, B, the evil Kentucky Wildcats, C, Wichita State, or D, Temple?
It was Wichita State.
You're positive on that, right?
Well, it wasn't Kentucky because they had the lead and they lost to them, but no, it was Temple.
Oh, okay. All right. Number 2, who was the Notre Dame head coach the only time the Fighting Irish reached the Final Four of a men's basketball tournament? Thank you, Scotty, for rubbing this in. 2 Elite Eights under the current head coach. A, Digger Phelps. B, Mike Bray. C, John McLeod. D, Johnny D.
Digger Phelps.
Okay, question number 3. Last night, Trayce Jackson Davis with 29 points tied the Indiana record for most points in an NCAA tournament debut. What former Washington high school star that played with George McGinnis in high school and is now the athletic director at Marian University after graduating from Bob Knight's team in 1973 when he was called for a bogus foul against Bill Walton in the 1973 Final Four in the St. Louis Checkerdome? Whose record that guy described did he tie? Sorry, Scotty's yelling at me. Scott May, John Ritter, Steve Alford, or Steve Downing?
Scott May.
Jake, do you remember that Notre Dame Kentucky Elite Eight game a handful of years ago?
I do.
Kentucky was undefeated.
Really thought Notre Dame was going to win.
That's the game, like, as a fan, that I still haven't gotten over. Probably should just grow up. Number 4, Kyrie Irving scored 60 points last night as the Nets pounded Orlando. Irving's 60 came one night after Karl Anthony Towns scored 60. Speaking of a guy that killed Notre Dame in that Elite Eight game. When was the last time there have been players with 60-point games on consecutive days in the NBA? A, 1962, B, 1985, C, 1996, or D, 2002?
I would say D, 2002.
Okay. Last one for you, Drew. The IUPUI women are in the NCAA tournament. They will face
Austin Parkinson.
That's right. They will face in their opener the same school that the men played when they went to the NCAA tournament. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. No, that's not correct. I didn't realize this was multiple choice, Scotty.
Get your damn act together.
Yeah, sorry about that. Will they play Kentucky, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, or NC State? I will tell you the game is sooner rather than later. Kentucky, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, or NC State?
Oklahoma.
Okay.
I would like for Notre Dame to play better than Drew just did in the pop quiz. Don't know if that's too much to ask for, but that would be my hope for the Irish.
Things got off to a slow start.
Yes, they did. All right, the last team that Indiana beat in an NCAA tournament game before the Cowboys last night, Jake, he went back and forth on Wichita State and Temple.
By the way, when Indiana in 1993 defeated Temple in the NCAA tournament as they were leaving, John Chaney flagged down the Indiana bus to get on the bus and tell them how impressed he was by Indiana's program and that Temple would be rooting for them. I always thought that was cool, but the correct answer was Kentucky.
I'd be scared if John Chaney came over.
Ask John Calipari.
You don't get to come back tomorrow. You don't even get a lousy copy of our home game. You're a complete loser.
You lose. Good day, sir. Well, it was fun while it lasted.
That was one of those, the 16 seeds down 10 at the first media timeout. That was one of those pop quizzes.
Pretty much, yeah.
But thanks for calling, Drew.
What were the other answers?
Digger Phelps, the Notre Dame coach, when they went to the Final Four in 1978. Steve Downing, 29. Jake, you tried to give a whole lot of help there. 29 versus Marquette in 1973. That's who Trayce Jackson Davis tied last night. The last time we had back-to-back 60-point games in the NBA, 62.
Wow. And it is Oklahoma that IUPUI is facing.
So how do they do that in the women's tournament? You get home games if you're a top 4 seed? Gotcha. So Indiana will play at Assembly Hall and then progress to a regional at a neutral site. Interesting. Jake, when we come back here, I've got some interesting NCAA tournament prop bets that I would like to throw your way.
Okay.
If you don't mind. And we'll talk a little bit about Colts free agency. Will they find their quarterback at the end of the day? Free agency officially starting at 4 o'clock. We'll do that next here. One final time. Kevin and Query, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
We buy any car. We buy any car. We buy any car. Any.
Did you know trading in your car at a dealer could cost you money? A recent study found consumers who trade in their car pay an average of $990 more. So don't trade in. Sell it to We Buy Any Car. Learn more and get your free online valuation now at WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Find out how much your car's worth at We Buy Any Car.
Start your bracket with a bang. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook is giving new customers a $150 instant bonus guaranteed. Hey, it's Mark from Kevin and Query. That's right, you'll get $150 in bonus site credit, and all you have to do is place your first bet of $5 or more. How you bet the bracket is up to you. You can choose from the money line, totals, prop bets, and so much more. I had IU yesterday against Wyoming. That hit, so that was good. With cash out, the ball's in your court, so you can close out your bet whenever you want before the game is over. Join FanDuel today with promo code MARK, then place your $5 bet to score $150 in bonus site credit guaranteed. That's promo code MARK, M-A-R-C, on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. The FanDuel Sportsbook app also has great odds, boosts, and promotions every single day. They had one last night where it was Trayce Jackson Davis to score 15 points and IU to win at plus 150. That was easy money. So go in on those things. It's great. Check it out. FanDuel Sportsbook, 21 and over and present in Indiana. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is now withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Feeling the pinch of higher prices?
Golden Oak Lending can save you money with their low 2.25% rate.
James Hawkins here, president of Golden Oak. Offset high prices with lower monthly payments or turn your home equity into cash.
Lock in this low rate while you can. Call 317-706-GOLD today.
Golden Oak Landing cured my blues.
NMLS 114937. 2.25% fixed. 3.336% APR. FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit.
Business owners, are you feeling the pressures of running your business? There's a limit to what you can do and still keep employees engaged. Insperity can help. They put 30-plus years of HR experience to work helping you with hiring, training, HR administration, and compliance while giving your employees competitive benefit options. Because you're able to focus on other priorities, your employees can thrive and your business can grow. With Insperity, nothing seems impossible. Full-service HR, employee benefits, HR technology. Insperity, HR that makes a difference.
Indianapolis, at Geico, our employees' careers matter to us.
We're starting a family, so benefits matter to me.
You got it, Anna. Geico offers a comprehensive benefits package and paid parental leave because family matters. Your hopes and dreams matter. Even your morning coffee routine matters.
You know what they say. Live, laugh, half-calf macchiato, extra whip.
When it comes to your career, what matters to you matters to Geico. We're now hiring claims, sales, and customer service agents. Apply today at careers.geico.com/Indianapolis and let's get growing.
Hey there, it's Jake Query for nextleveljobs.org. I cannot talk today. Maybe it's because last night, along with watching Indiana, I was taking some classes for Indiana online. That's right, back in school. And nextleveljobs.org would love to see you folks join me in terms of the initiatives of getting any sort of certification for high-paying jobs. Matter of fact, 150 high-paying jobs out there. Nextleveljobs.org can help you with the tuition necessary in terms of grants or the scholarships that are available. It's all available. That tool, that resource, nextleveljobs.org makes it available to facilitate for you to be able to get back in school. Whether you were like me and you're one of the 700,000 Hoosiers that had college credits that were sitting on the shelf that you had not finished off, and you thought they expired, they don't, and you want to finish that degree, whether just to advance yourself in the employment or just to fulfill that goal you've had for a lifetime, or perhaps you are simply wanting to put yourself in position for a better living and a better wage, nextleveljobs.org, which, by the way, is sponsoring our NCAA Tournament Bracket Challenge at 1075thefan.com. NextLevelJobs.org has the roadmap for you in terms of getting that certification and education. I'd love to have you join me. Brought to you by the Indiana Commission for Higher Education.
Even though it's cold outside, now is the time to plan your backyard project. Mark Rowland with Indy Decorative Concrete here. Learn the advantages of our stamped concrete patios. Endless design options, low maintenance, structurally superior, typically lower cost than wood decks or pavers, all backed by the best service and best warranty in town. Visit our showroom on Brookville Road or check us out at indiedecorativeconcrete.com.
The Pacers head to Texas to take on the Houston Rockets. Friday night at 7:30 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You know, one thing that I believe will help IU tomorrow night with this quick turnaround, and again, we're hoping to have Randy Bennett, head coach of St. Mary's, on tomorrow. Jake, St. Mary's is not going to try and go out of their way to expose any potential fatigue for IU. St. Mary's is like, milk the clock, four corners offense to a degree. I mean, they are very play the game at the pace that we want it to be played, and that pace is slow. So I think that is an advantage. You're not playing Nolan Richardson's Razorbacks tomorrow night.
40 minutes of hell, right?
So I think that should
what Nolan
help
Richardson was.
Indiana. All right, a couple prop bets to throw at you, all right?
Okay.
Need your brain here. Over under 1.5 number one seeds to reach the Final Four.
Over. I know that there's a lot of parity in college basketball, but I'll go over.
I've got over as well.
I've got 2.
Mm-hmm.
You guys got more than 2?
No.
2's all you need.
2's all you need. All right, got to think a little bit on this one. Combined total of the Final Four team seeds. So add up all 4 seeds or all 4 teams and their seeds. Over under 12.5.
Under.
Yeah,
I mean, even if you got 4-3, you would need.
It's an average of 4 3 seeds.
Yeah.
Doesn't that seem like under is a pretty safe bet?
Yeah.
Of course, you get one UCLA in there from last year, and you're like, oh boy.
That's the problem. Indiana gets there, and boom, you're busted. But
that was surprising to me. I thought that'd be like 14.5.
I mean, a 5 seed. Look at it this way.
I mean, you get a hot Iowa team to make the Final Four. That's 5. That still brings that number.
I mean, hell,
down to,
even if you got 2 number ones, a 5 and a 4, you're under.
Yeah.
Right?
I'd hammer the under on that one.
Yeah, that feels.
Will Purdue make the Sweet 16? Minus 200, yes. Plus 150, no. That's a little bit closer to even money than I would have thought.
Say that one more time.
Will Purdue make the Sweet 16? You bet $20 to win 10. If you think it's yes. If you think it's no, you bet $10 to win 15.
I mean, I would think they're in, right? The Sweet 16, you would think. Stranger things have happened, man. I don't know that I'd touch that, to be honest with you. I love Purdue, but I don't know that I'd touch that.
The level of disappointment, if they don't get to at least the Sweet 16.
If Purdue...
How many Purdue fans are out there saying, all right, I'm going to be the wise person here, and I'm going to say no, so I have a financial win if my emotional win is not achieved.
If Purdue doesn't make the Final Four, it would feel to Purdue fans the way it felt to Colts fans when Mike Vanderjagt missed his kick against the Steelers.
Yeah, that's a great comparison.
Because there are just few things that felt like more of a certainty to.
Well, Purdue, Virginia.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, that Colts team. That team was so good that it was just from the beginning of the season. It was like, this is the team that is going to the Super Bowl. Like the Colts are going to go to the Super Bowl. The Colts. I mean, it felt like an absolute slam dunk automatic that they were going to the Super Bowl. And I think for Purdue fans, there are a lot of them that this team, it has felt like from the beginning of the year, it was a slam dunk. They were going to be finally break through for Matt Painter and get to the Final Four for the first time since 1980. And if they don't, after not having won the Big Ten regular season and the Big Ten tournament championship, I mean, I think Purdue at that point would have to classify it as a major disappointment.
It'll be crushing. And the bracket, it didn't unfold how you would have thought. I think entering January, hell, maybe even entering February, you thought, all right, they're going to be placed in Indy. They're going to be placed in Chicago. I was told by somebody somewhat close to the committee selection that if Purdue would have beaten Iowa in the Big Ten title game, they would have been placed here and taken Tennessee's spot. Tennessee is placed here. So Purdue would have got the Longwood Tigers.
I wonder what kind of travel Tennessee does. Like, will they bring a lot of fans?
Oh, I would think so.
But Tennessee, Tennessee's basketball team.
The SEC is kind of crazy.
And Tennessee did in Louisville. They had a lot of fans there, right, for that Tennessee-Purdue game a couple years ago?
Yeah. And Knoxville to Indy's what, 5, 6?
5.5, yep.
5.5. Drew wants to talk Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Drew, you got Texas Tech going far?
I think in the end it's going to be defense that wins championships, and I think that's something Purdue does not have.
That's a totally fair point. If you were Purdue, what worries you the most? Defense, turnovers, or foul shooting?
Well, turnovers are going to cost you a game. They have to play a clean game, which means the guards have to be on top of their game. Everybody has to be alert. But I think in the end, I like Texas Tech going to the Final Four.
Gonzaga the 1, Duke the 2, Texas Tech the 3, and Arkansas the 4.
Drew,
that is the
are you
San Francisco regional?
Tech would take out Duke because of their defense.
Tech is the number 1 ranked defensive team in the nation, if I'm not mistaken.
Are you a Texan, Drew?
I am a KU alum.
Are you really?
You're right. Ted Owens was the coach whenever I was going to school there.
What dorm did you live in at KU?
McCollum.
Okay. I lived in JRP.
Okay.
But so
Drew, you want a team?
Yeah, we should give Drew a team.
Yeah, Drew, give us your favorite number. Hell, should we give them Texas Tech? Are they still available?
I don't know if they are or not.
I don't think you can be that.
Is 16 still available?
16 is
16
not.
is gone.
We basically have 1 through 30 gone.
How about 31?
Oh, Reggie Miller. Okay, 31. Ooh, wow.
Man,
you will like
some
this,
rooting
Drew.
interest. Well, I don't know how much you'll like it.
Drew, you will. Nah, he will because Drew.
Really?
You favor the Big 12, right, Drew?
Right, because it's a great conference. They have to play really, really great defense to be successful.
Do you know which school in the Big 12 has a live animal on its campus that's its mascot?
Oh, God.
It lives on the campus.
It's not a peacock.
I imagine it's TCU with their horned frogs.
I think he might be right. We got to double check this.
You might be right. Have you been to the TCU campus, Drew?
No.
Let me tell you, it's like a country club, man. It's ridiculous. It's like $150,000 a year to go to school there. Not really, but it's very expensive. The actual answer, Drew, it is in the state of Texas.
Baylor.
They are the Bears, and they have a bear live on campus.
Now, couldn't you say the same thing about the West Virginia Mountaineers?
Yeah, I guess
probably
they all.
more than one, right?
The entire campus, right?
By the way, I did get a look at. I think Chris Hagan put out a video of the Wyoming mascot jumping around the court last night.
Oh, was it the Barrel Man?
It wasn't the Barrel Man. It was just, it was a cowboy just acting crazy. It looked like kind of a cool mascot.
Yeah, the Wyoming's cool, man. The Baylor Bear, I told you that. I was on campus with Byron, and the bear. They have right in the middle of the campus, they have a little exhibit with the bear, and he was asleep in his little cave, and I'm like, well, what time does he get up? We got to see him walk around, maybe throw him a berry or something. Then I realize he sleeps for 3 months.
Not our Mark, but Mark just texted me. He wants to go conspiracy theory on Duke always playing close to home in the first 2 rounds.
Boy, he's not kidding about that, though.
Greenville is where Duke is heading the first 2 rounds. He points out Notre Dame finished second in the ACC, and they're the last team in the tournament. Wasn't there a lot of talk about Tennessee should have been a 2 seed and Duke should have been a 3? I think that was kind of a popular thing.
Duke, it's seemingly
Greenville and San Francisco was where they would go.
I mean, they used to play in Greensboro or Winston-Salem or Charlotte every year. It was like, oh my goodness, man. Oh my goodness.
Duke, Texas Tech. Who you like?
You know, I think there's a little of Duke this year, Kevin, where they're living off their name. In the big games for Duke, I mean, Coach K, I don't know if you know or not. Did you know that he's retiring?
No.
Yeah, I know.
Whoa.
You'd think there'd be a lot more pomp and circumstance.
Yeah, I haven't heard any of that. Has he grabbed a mic after a game and said anything about that?
I know. They should have made more promos and things out of it. Even like that. I mean, Carolina goes in there and wins. I just feel like they are kind of ripe for the picking.
I've got Duke losing to Michigan State in the second round.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
I got Michigan State losing in the first round.
I got him beating Davidson, but I don't think.
Am I obligated to root for Michigan State because Dr. Mottman went there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just.
I mean, clearly they have a decent pre-med program.
I was going to say.
David's been waiting for a team. Let's flush out one last team for today. David, how are you?
Pretty good. How's it going, Jake?
Doing all right. I'm always curious about this, David. When we greet people on the phone lines and they say, hey, Jake, or hey, KB, how can you tell which one of us is talking to you? Is it just the voice? Is that recognizable?
No. It's just you were talking and I was listening.
Okay, fair enough. I'm always curious about that.
David just explained radio in 0.2 seconds.
David, you sound like a nice fella. Are you native to the area?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
sir.
and you grew up on what side of town?
North side.
Oh, North side. And what high school would that be?
Broad Ripple High School, sir.
Well, now, David, sir is my dad.
Okay.
So you can call me like buddy or bro or big guy, chief. Any of those words. I like the Rockets, man. What year did you graduate, David?
82.
Ooh, 2 years after the Rockets won the state with Maurice Womack and the boys, right? Stacy Turan.
My buddy Stacy.
Yeah, Stacy Turan was a hell of a player, man. All right, David, give me a number.
50.
Number 50. Let me flip over to number 50. Number 50's taken. Sorry, I've got 47, 51, 52, 53, 56, 57. Stop me anytime. 60,
51.
51?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
David's going to be in the running for biggest blowout victim. He got did this game already take place last night?
It happened last night.
So which one did he get?
He got Southern.
Texas Southern is off the board. Mike Davis's
Fighting
old school.
Mike Davis's. They beat Corpus Christi. Thank the Lord the game didn't go into overtime.
Yeah, no kidding. Indiana, by the way, did, for those that are just joining us, and this is amazing to me that Indiana had flight delays. They arrived just prior to 9 a.m., so like within an hour. There are kind of multiple reports on when they landed, but either way, they left Dayton at like 4 a.m. Eastern, but it's their plane. So it seems odd to me that they had like a plane delay. But who knows, right? I don't know if it was mechanical or if it was weather or whatever it might be.
For those hoping Jimmy G might get cut by the deadline today, the 49ers have restructured a couple deals with George Kittle and Eric Armstead, so they are not forced to move off of Jimmy G or cut him by the salary cap deadline today. So Colts may be playing the waiting game a bit longer.
The saga continues. Jake, I did want to mention this in the final minute of the show. I texted you and Mark this a few days ago, and JB has sent me an update. One of our listeners, JB's father, is volunteering in Ukraine right now as a doctor, and just sent me a picture of his dad with some children over there. And JB said this: my dad and I were able to listen to some of the show together this morning. It's evening for him over there, 8 hours ahead. I know listening about March Madness and the Colts is helping him get his mind off things. Just reading that, Jake, gives me a little bit of chills.
Holy cow, what a hero, man.
Incredible. The definition of a hero, to say the least. So thinking about JB, your family, and certainly your father over there, may he be safe. And just, wow, kind of speechless thinking about the sacrifice that he's making right now to help those in desperate
and be safe.
need. And be
Absolutely
safe.
Be safe.
Certainly. So I'm glad that we can help in a very, very, very small way. We come back tomorrow. We'll continue to give away some numbers on the tournament, and we'll recap, see if my Irish get it done tonight.
Bracket Challenge 1075thefan.com.
Correct. If Notre Dame wins, they'll face Alabama, and obviously free agency beginning at 4 o'clock.